Today, for the very first time, we are going to be listening to the brand new Black Keys album, Ohio Players. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. And today I am so excited because for the very first time, we have a brand new guest on the channel. First of all, joining us is someone that's been with me before, cousin Cody.
Hello.
And Cody, who is our other guest there with you?
This is my lovely wife, Audrey.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. My cousin-in-law, I think is right?
Yeah, I suppose so, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I asked Cody if he wanted to react to the new Black Keys album with me, which came out as of our recording this 4 days ago, I believe, on Friday. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so hopefully my math is correct there. But it doesn't matter, because this probably won't be coming out for days and days and days after this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, we would have done this and recorded it sooner, but this was the first day we could do it. It made sense, and we both had kind of busy weekends. For me, it was especially busy because it was WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, that's right. No,
which was awesome.
Something during WrestleMania.
I wouldn't let it. Well, we couldn't do it. It would be impossible because I watched wrestling on Friday from basically noon till midnight, and then I watched wrestling on Saturday from noon till midnight, about 10 o'clock maybe, and then I watched wrestling on Saturday from about 4 till midnight. So it was a great full 3 days of wrestling, and it was awesome, and it was great, and Cody Rhodes finished his story, and for anybody that cares or knows, you know what I'm talking about. You know WrestleMania 40, biggest WrestleMania of all time, literally the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and figuratively, I suppose, as well. But anyway, it was a great weekend. And so I have been itching, though, to listen to this new Black Keys album. This is probably the album that I've had in my calendar to look forward to and to do a reaction to for the longest, because they announced this way back, I think, in December, is when they first announced the release date for this.
They've been playing a single for a while now.
Yeah, their single that I did a reaction to on my channel when they released it, which is Beautiful People Stay High.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the song. And they also have a couple of other singles out now as well, but I haven't heard those at all. One of them I know is Paper Crown, which is the song that features Beck and a dude named Juicy J, who I'm assuming is a rapper.
Yeah, Juicy J, he did that song with Katy Perry. Dark Horse. Juicy J.
I don't know what that is, but that's fine, but whatever.
They've been playing Beautiful People a lot on Alt Nation. We listened to the Alt 18 on Sirius XM, and it's been on there for a while.
What's its rank? Did it get to number one?
No, it definitely didn't.
Well, I'm glad that they're playing it, and I hope that this album makes a lot of waves. I will say the Black Keys have been doing something really fun on their... I don't have Twitter, and I don't use Instagram, and I don't really follow anyone on TikTok, though I do have a TikTok that I was uploading videos to for a little bit. But what the Black Keys have been doing, at least on Facebook, and I assume that these are all videos that they have on their other social medias as well, but they've been doing a really good job of promoting this album. A lot of bands don't choose not to even promote their music at all, really, before their album comes out, and they just say, hey, today's our day that our album's out. But the Black Keys chose to make all this really awesome content that is all hilarious. It is so funny. They have all these skits of them in the bowling alley doing stuff. One of the videos I saw that was really cool was a video of them sort of talking about the cover of the album, which I have the CD right here, by the way. And this picture, I didn't want us to get into all this at first. I had a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted us to talk to. We'll get into that in a second. Okay. So to complete the intro of this video, I just want to say hello to everybody. Thank you very much for watching. If you're unfamiliar with how videos like this are on my channel, know that we're going to talk a little bit about the Black Keys up front here. We'll continue our conversation we were just having, basically. And then we're going to listen to the entire album. Because I have remote guests, what we found is easiest to do is we'll basically listen to a song, and then we'll both pause it, and we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll listen to the next song, and we'll go through the whole album that way. And we'll try to keep it relatively short in between songs, because I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, though it'll probably end up being 2.5 hours long, just because that's how it always is. But we're not going to, cut any conversation off if we're having a good conversation. So we'll probably be doing a lot of talking. And if you've never seen a video on my channel before, you can probably expect a little bit, if not a lot, of talking while the song is playing. So don't get mad at us for that. We're hearing it for the very first time, but I want you to know what I'm hearing while I'm listening to it for the first time. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, on my channel, we tend to focus a little bit more on production aspect of music because I am an audio engineer, and that's the way I tend to listen to music. But Cody and Audrey listen to music differently than me, so it's really fun to have different people on here to sort of discuss what we're hearing for the first time. So we'll just see how it goes. And I'm expecting to be disappointed with the way this album sounds, just purely based on how terrible their last album sounds. But we'll get into that in a second. So just know we'll be talking about all sorts of different things, and we will probably be talking over the music. When we're done listening to the entire album, we'll have a big conversation at the end. It can be however long we want it to be, but we'll have a conversation where we sort of go through our overall thoughts or our review. And all of this will be timestamped in the description of this video. So you can just scrub through the timeline if you want, or you can look in the description and you'll see, and you can just click on any of the songs if you want to go to a song you have that's a favorite, or if you want to go to the very end to just hear our overall thoughts, feel free to skip to whatever part of the video you would like. I also want to say, if you're someone who's been following the channel a little bit, you will know that I haven't been releasing videos as much recently. I have not been feeling very good the last few weeks, especially the last 3 weeks or so. March was not very good for me. If you're unaware, I was diagnosed with leukemia at the beginning of the year, so my channel has been sort of been put on hiatus a little bit this year, but we have a lot of things recorded, stuff that Cody and I even recorded, where we went shopping to some record stores and stuff, and we showed off all of our cool goodies, and I actually have all that stuff bounced and rendered and ready to be uploaded, and I just have to find a day where I can upload all that stuff and then set times for release and stuff. So that stuff should all be coming out soon, and there's some really cool stuff on there, and people who are fans of the Black Keys are probably fans of like vinyl and vintage audio stuff, so I would highly recommend checking out some of those videos when I finally get them uploaded to the channel. So that's pretty much all of the pre-stuff I had. If anyone's curious, I said I haven't been feeling the best the last month or so, but hasn't really been anything too serious. I've had some nausea a little bit for a couple weeks. I had a headache for a couple weeks, but every time I have those things, we kind of work with some medications and try to get everything sort of figured out. I'm still going through and having lots of chemo. Yesterday we were at the hospital and we were supposed to be there from 3 to 5, and we ended up being there from 3 to 9. So we were actually there we left home at 1:30 and got back at 10:30. So it was a really long day. And it was because my platelets were at 7, which you're supposed to have them above between 200 and 400 is normal for most people. But people who are getting chemotherapy and who have cancer, your platelet level is really low. And mine was at 7. And anything below 10 is considered urgent or whatever, emergency or whatever. And so I had to get a bag of platelets, and then my white blood count, or my overall blood count, was low. So I was just having low blood flow, and less oxygen was getting to my brain through the blood. And so that was why I've been having a headache the last weekend or so, the last couple days. And so I actually got a giant bag of blood given to me as well. So that was why we ended up staying quite a bit later. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about my cancer forever. We might bring it up and joke about it a little bit here and there, but that's not going to be a focal point. I just wanted to let anyone know who's been curious or been following. That's one of the reasons I haven't been posting videos as much or recording as much, because I do have other things to record. I got Star Sailor's new album came out a couple weeks ago. I got that in the mail finally the other day from the UK. Also, the new Big Train album came out. There's a couple other things that I've been wanting to do reactions to. So now that I've got my camera down here and set up, I might try to find the motivation to get some stuff recorded. So, but to the Black Keys. So I just want to sort of, we'll get more into what I was talking about a little bit later, but I want to start this off, first of all, by saying that if you're a fan of the channel, you'll know that Mountain Dew is a very important part of this channel. And we have something very special for today. Cody's got the same thing. Audrey's drinking something else, and she's not drinking any Mountain Dew, and that's fine. We don't begrudge her that. It's not a requirement, but it is certainly something that we cheer for on the channel if you want to drink Mountain Dew. But so this is going to actually be my very first time ever trying the Baja Point Break Mountain Dew. So this is Point Break Punch. Baja Point Break, but it says it is dew with a blast of natural and artificial tropical punch flavor. I have not tried this. This is one of the 2 new flavors of Baja Mountain Dew, right, Cody?
Yep. I forget what the other one's like a mango lemonade. I forget what it's called.
The other one is mango lemonade, and I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I love that one.
But I would just guess, based on the two, the way that they're describing them, that this would be my favorite of the two. All right, first taste. Cheers.
Cheers. It's more orange than I was expecting.
It's perfectly pink in real life. I don't know what it looks like on the screen, but it's like wonderfully, perfectly pink to me. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I like the mango one way more.
I would say first taste, I like this one more. I do like mango flavor a lot, but this reminds me of some of the other Mountain Dews they've had in the past where they do, like it's not exactly a game fuel, but they have a couple different types of game fuel every year. And one year they had one that was sort of like an orange, and I think it was an orange cherry combination flavor or something. And that was one of my favorite Mountain Dews they've ever released. And this reminds me of that a little bit. But it also reminds me of just a regular Baja, too.
Yeah, I saw that they were teasing something with the Eclipse. Mountain Dew Pitch Black is back.
Interesting. That's their dark purple one.
Yeah, I never really liked Pitch Black.
That's their grape one. Yeah.
But it's back because of the Eclipse.
That's cool. I would get a case of that if I found it somewhere. Yeah. I like to have a case just sitting out or whatever, drink one every now and then. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I can drink that. I would like to hear your guys' opinions on Black Keys because, well, how do you guys feel about them individually?
I don't know. You introduced me to them, and every time you play me something from them, I like it. And I've kind of listened to an album here and there, and I kind of like the production of it. It's not exactly the kind of music I would normally listen to, I guess. But it's always really good. And I know they're like one of your favorite bands, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's been like years ago. You were like really excited to show me some of their stuff, and that was kind of my whole relationship with them. But Audrey likes them as well. So I did not know that until we met, I guess.
Yeah,
so how do you feel about them, Audrey?
I enjoy the Black Keys quite a bit and was really heartbroken when Cody said you didn't like the last album. I was really excited to kind of hear what you thought about it. And then when Cody said it was terrible, that's what Patrick said, I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
So do you like the last album then?
I do. I mean, I don't think it's their best album, but I do. I enjoy the spirit of Black Keys. Let me ask you this.
Since this is the first time that we've had you on here, how do you generally listen to music? Do you listen to albums or because I know you guys at work, where you work, you listen to music a lot, right? Or you used to?
Yeah.
And you generally just have,
I'm kind of a genre-based listener, so I will listen to different bands in the same genre. So kind of alternative rock, new alternative rock is where I'd put the Black Keys. And so they're going to be on a playlist rather than all through one album. So I think that is a different way to digest music than perhaps just digesting an album from beginning to end.
Sure. Yeah, and I always think that I really like when people say that that's how they generally listen to music. And then my question is, if you hear something that you do like, if you're just listening to like something on like Pandora, for example, I know a lot of people who love Pandora, where on Pandora you don't really listen to full albums. you listen to like a radio station almost that's just constant. But if you listen to something like that and you hear something that you've never heard before that you really like, do you then look into that band further, or just you hear it a couple times and then that's how you recognize that you like that?
No, I definitely then do a deeper dive. My probably favorite artist right now is Gus Dapperton, and I never would have encountered him on his album, but I do encounter him on a lot of the stations and playlists that I listen to. And so I definitely like finding new artists that way.
Yeah, I love finding new artists, and I always find my new things through all these sorts of weird methods. But whenever I get a chance to listen to something that's like a compilation, or if I am just listening to the radio, or whatever, you know, and I hear something that's it's always really exciting to hear something when you're not expecting to hear something that you'll really love. It's really exciting to hear something that you just like blows you away. Mm-hmm.
The anniversary final version, which is like 4 discs and. Okay, build it. Yeah, well, that's stuff on yours, but just larger format. Yeah, it's literally the same exact stuff. Yeah.
And then we get to Dropout Boogie, which Audrey, we were talking about a while ago.
Oh, that's the last one.
This is their most recent one. So anyone who's interested and wants to hear more about my thoughts on this album can go check out my reaction to this album on my channel. At the time when I listened to this, and I still will maintain this, and I just listened to this the other day for the first time since I did the reaction. I listened to it in the car. And you can tell when you're listening to it, even in the car, which is a much different listening experience than when you're listening on headphones, you know, paying extra special attention to it, doing a reaction. There is no high frequency on this album at all. It's the only album I've heard that was produced worse than this is the Heavy's most recent album, which is unlistenable garbage. This album, I really liked the writing of the songs, and I felt like it was a really good continuation of Let's Rock. I think these two albums feel very similar, and I'm expecting to get a similar feel with Ohio Players. So I kind of think of these 3 albums as sort of like a trilogy of albums. I'm expecting it. Maybe they'll throw me for a huge loop, and I doubt that though. But my problem with this album is the lack of high frequencies. I think that is absolutely terrible sounding. However, I just was in my room and I asked Alexa to play one of the songs off of this album, and it had high frequency in it. So, and I was going to do this beforehand, but I didn't have time. I think that the digital release of this album is different than the physical release.
Oh.
And I think what happened was the master that they used for the CD is the same master they used for the vinyl. And the vinyl intentionally has all the low frequencies cut out of it because you can't really have good sounding high frequency on a vinyl. Yeah. You can technically, but like whatever, it doesn't matter. People who are listening on vinyl
for vinyl.
Yeah, people who are listening on vinyl don't necessarily want a lot of high thin frequencies. They want the mid-range and the low frequencies, probably because the system that they have is set up to boost the bass a little and sort of overcompensate in that area, and so they don't have a lot of, or you can just, you know, have a treble knob on the old school players and boost the treble if you want yourself.
Isn't there, does the RIAA equalization curve, is that just apply to vinyl? Or is that
I'm an audio engineer, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, because I've heard about that a lot, and that I think that they used I don't exactly know what an equalization curve is, but there's something specific that they use for vinyl, and then when you have a preamplifier, I think it
boosts those frequencies.
It like undoes that part. Yeah, it's almost like you know, Dolby boosting something and then bringing it back down.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
So it's like they do that. And I think that's like a standard across every vinyl pressing.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like when you're mastering something for AM radio, which has like a vast majority of frequencies cut from it intentionally because of the way that it travels through the
you have to play to the medium that you're using.
Right. And so I think what actually happened was, and I was going to try to test this earlier and I just didn't have time. I was going to put the CD in my computer and A/B a track from the CD and a track from Spotify. But I think if I listened to this album on Spotify, it would literally sound different than listening to the CD. However, CD is the highest quality audio that you can purchase from the Black Keys because they don't release their music in 24-bit lossless files online. So if that is truly the case, then I think my opinion of it still holds. That would be a travesty.
Mistake if that's,
It's a huge mistake, yes. And if it was a mistake, then I don't begrudge them. Somehow a master just got, the master got messed up, and what was sent to
somewhere
master.
down the line they can release a better version on CD.
But for a band who's like literally one of the biggest bands on the planet, that should not happen. And I was shocked when I just asked my player to play I asked him to play Wild Child, because that's the big song from this album. That was their big single. And I was like, there are frequencies in this that I know are not on the CD. Because on the CD, like, it's really bad. And the distortion that they're using, because one of the cool things the Black Keys do is they intentionally record things with an old style, but also they run a lot of their sounds that you're hearing through old tape emulators and tape saturation plugins and things to make it sound like it was recorded back in the old days on like tape, because that's the way they like their music to sound. That's the music that they enjoy listening to, all sounds like it was recorded, back in the day. Yeah. And that's cool. That's a really neat thing. We've talked about that a lot on the channel here. Production wise, I like music that's made that way if it's done correctly. And I think they overdid the lo-fi-ingness of this album. That's maybe like a really nice simplistic way to say what I think is wrong with it. They overly tried to make it sound lo-fi and old. And they if it was a knob, they turned the knob way too far, in my opinion. And I think that knob was set absolutely correctly on Let's Rock. I think Let's Rock sounds so great, but it sounds great in a very different way than Brothers. Brothers sounds like a very dirty, gritty sounding album, whereas Let's Rock sounds like something that's much cleaner and something that could have been released in the late 70s alongside Fleetwood Mac and the Carpenters. And those are just my two examples, because those are the two bands that I'm like familiar with from that era. But that era, there's like a very specific audio quality, because that was when we had really high audio quality before we started getting into the 80s and synthesizers and over reverbing everything, right? Yeah. So when you listen to bands from the mid to late 70s, everything is really crisp and clear, and it has a very warm tone to it, but also everything is close microphone. Like the drums and everything are close mic'd.
Well,
and
the Black Keys, to the end of analog recording as a standard.
Exactly. So it's like the best analog recording.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the best analog recording ever was before everything switched over to digital, and they started overusing a lot of the effects that they could put on every track, which is a staple of all 80s songs, no matter what genre of 80s you're talking about. So that's one of the reasons I think that I really like the most recent 3 Black Keys albums, and I'm going to include this new one and even Dropout Boogie in it, because that's what they're going for. But I just think that they overdid it with Dropout Boogie, at least on the CD master version of it. If I listened to the whole thing digitally, I don't know how I would feel about it. So that's really crazy, and that's the only case I can think of where that's the case. So the only a few other things I wanted to show you here, I do have their Black Rock album, which this is their hip hop album that they released after they made Brothers, because so many people listened to Brothers and they were like, this would be like the perfect hip hop music. So they were like, okay, well, we'll go into the studio and make a hip hop album. And this album was absolute torture for them to make. And they said they will never do this again, even though I wish that they stopped being the Black Keys and just made albums like this, because it's so dang cool.
Did they have a bunch of guests on it, or?
Yes, every track just features rappers, and then Dan singing like a hook or something. Cool. But like, yes, and there's like very famous rappers like Mos Def, RZA, Raekwon, Mos Def again, Q-Tip, RZA again. There's 2 songs with RZA. That's pretty awesome. But there's one of the songs features, I don't think it even has all of them on here. Like Ludacris is on the first track. But
Luda.
Yeah, Luda. But this is a really good album. I don't think the song, I wish they would have done another one of these, because I think they learned so much doing this. It's just that unfortunately what they learned was that they didn't like making an album this way.
Sure.
So that's a big bummer. Another cool thing about this album was that they only sold it in stores that were celebrating Record Store Day. So they did not sell this album in like Walmart or Targets or anything like that. They only sold it in like local record stores that were celebrating Record Store Day that year.
You were at Hastings when that came out?
Yes, and so I bought this at Hastings because we were a big Hastings was a big record store day thing. Cool. And then I have to point out as well the other Dan Auerbach solo album. This album is absolutely phenomenal. If you're a Black Keys fan, you have not heard it. It's called Waiting on a Song. This album has like Dwayne Eddy is featured on this. This is a collaboration album that Dan did with all the people he's made friends with over the years. And there's a picture on the back, which you won't be able to see. But there's a picture on the back of all these people on this stairwell. And it's all these incredibly famous musicians going all the way back to like the 50s. And this every song on this album features like guest musicians and artists and people who just came in and played for like 1 hour with him or something. And it is absolutely incredible. The songwriting on this is really good. There's a lot of acoustic guitar. It does not sound like the Black Keys, but it still has that Dan Auerbach feel to it, because Dan Auerbach has produced a lot of albums over the last decade with his record label Easy Eye Sound. And everything he produces has the same sort of feel to it, like sonically. And I love the way that sounds. But a lot of the artists I haven't really fallen in love with, like I have the Black Keys. But this is a really great example and a really good way of him to showcase all the people that he's worked with over the years, including a bunch of very famous like legends in the music industry. So I highly recommend, if people haven't heard this, to listen to this. And then I have the 2 Arcs albums as well. One just came out last year. Electrophonic Chronic is what that album's called, and then their first album is Yours Dreamily. This is really great music that's sort of trip-hop inspired, but very much like the Black Keys. Dan does most of the lead vocals along with some of the other members in the band. It's really, really, really good. Some of the songs are a little short for me, but I think we're going to encounter that problem on this album too. And then the last thing I have to shout out, I say this every time I talk about the Black Keys because I cannot say this enough. This is an album that Patrick Carney produced by a lady named Jessie Wilson. As of right now, it's the only album she's ever released. This is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I love this album. I think it is a perfect album from front to back. This is something that Pat produced, and it sounds very much like their album Brothers, but it's got these soulful female lead vocals the entire time. It is so good. So if you're a fan of the Black Keys, look up this album by Jessie Wilson, and Jessie is with a Y, Jessie Wilson. It's called Phase. And I cannot recommend this album enough. It is absolutely one of my favorite albums of all time. So that's the whole Black Keys catalog. I didn't want to spend forever talking about it. We did. Get over it.
So this new album is called Ohio Players.
Ohio Players. Yep.
So is it supposed to be a tribute to the Ohio Players?
Is there a thing called the Ohio Players?
Yeah, the band Ohio Players.
I don't know
from
what
the
that
70s. They did Roller Coaster. Did they do that? Or that was I don't know. Ohio Players. They did. They have a lot of racy album covers, but they were really big in the 70s.
Interesting. Oh, well, that totally fits with it.
A funk band.
Yeah, Roller Coaster. Yeah.
Roller Coaster of Love.
Of Love. Okay, I know that song. Okay, that totally fits with everything I've been saying then of Dan and Pat loving 70s music over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Well, the Black Keys, very famously the most famous band from Akron, Ohio. They're very...
Excuse me? Devo.
No. Well, I'm pretty... Okay, that's actually... We could probably have a conversation about which band is the most famous band, because Devo is like...
They're big.
Iconic.
Like one-hit wonder level.
I wouldn't say they changed the history of the course of music in 2010 like some bands did, but...
I don't know, but they did... They are a band that were very influential to bands who got more popular than them, and that's almost more impressive in a lot of ways, but...
Sure.
I did not know they were from Akron, so that's really
cool,
interesting.
But yeah, Akron has like a weirdly... good music scene that like bands that have come out of there.
Yeah. Well, so they have, Black Keys have always been, they're very pride centric when it comes to Ohio and specifically Akron. Like they film all their music videos there. They very much like to say and show off their Ohio roots. And one thing I was going to say was the cover for this album, they found this really interesting picture of this lady bowling. And they wanted to get permission from the people who have it to use it as their album cover. And they could not find who originally shot the picture. And so they had to recreate the picture. So this is a totally new picture that they recreated recently and then tried to make it look old. And one cool thing about this packaging that I'm not going to be able to show you, I don't think, but you see how this is mostly black and white and then there's a little color here. The black and white is like matte cardboard finish. The color and the bowling ball here is like gloss. So it's very cool. I can't.
Do you like the modern CDs that come in cardboard like that?
The digipacks?
The like digipack gatefold, yeah.
I do, yeah.
I think
I will
they're kind of
always
cool too, because you they get like gatefold artwork and stuff in there.
Yeah, yes, and the gatefold artwork actually on this is really cool.
And I don't know if they've gone back to that. It's probably cheaper, I suppose, than jewel cases, but
Much cheaper, yeah.
But also, they can use the same packaging that they're making for the vinyl. I'm sure, because I'm sure that's
a lot of the same artwork,
way. Yeah.
for sure. Yep, and so pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That is
It's a whole bowling theme. The whole album is like bowling themed, which is cool because their last album, Dropout Boogie, was all high school themed.
Huh.
Which is why they have that song on there that's, hey, hey, over there, your team is looking good, but not as good as ours. Like, it's like the most catchy song on that album. But that whole album is sort of like high school themed. And so this is all bowling themed, which is really cool.
That's awesome. I love bowling.
Yep, and the CD artwork I love. It's very much Black Keys. It's a old bowling.
Like a score sheet.
Where you fill in your scoring sheet. Yeah. I just love
awesome.
I love like throwback artwork like this. I absolutely love it. And so this album, if we listen to the first few songs and the production is great, then I'm going to be like, weight lifted off my shoulders and we're going to have a good time. Mm-hmm. If we listen to it and I'm like, where the hell is all the high frequency? We're going to have a tough time making it through this. Yeah. So let's hope that these 14 songs they chose to give us, which is great. That's a great number of songs. Now, do you have the songs loaded into your program there, Cody?
Yes.
Can you see the lengths of the songs?
Yeah, 3, 2, 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 3. It's fairly short songs, it looks like.
Yes, a lot of shorter songs. And there was a time when if I saw a song under 3 minutes, I would be like, get out of here, I don't have time for you, you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
Make the song twice as long and give me a chorus 3 times. But I've been... When you're talking about music from the 70s and even older than that, I think, Cody, you and I were talking about it in our Beach Boys reaction, which hasn't been edited or released yet, but we did react to Beach Boys' Pet Sounds recently. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about, in that video, I brought up the fact that a very famous guy in the music industry named Rick Beato, who has a really great YouTube channel talking about all sorts of things in the music industry, but one of my favorite things that he does is he listens to like the top 10 songs on the like Billboard Top 100, and he'll just talk about them from the perspective of an old guy that's been in the music industry forever and knows all these famous people and is really well connected and a really, really cool guy. It's fun to hear him talking about like the latest Ariana Grande song or whatever dumb rap song is like the number one song. And every now and then he finds a song that he really likes though, and he's very eloquent to the way he breaks stuff down. But he released a video not long ago talking about how songs, one of the trends in music is that the lengths of popular songs is going down over the last few years, which is something Chris Parker and I have complained about on the channel a lot. Because I have talked about how I hate it how a lot of songs are just verse, chorus, and then the song is over. I want there to be a third section in the song. I want there to be a bridge and then go back to the chorus ideally. What?
Sorry,
you guys laughing at your dogs?
Yeah, I'm just trying to prevent him from barking. I'm listening though. I got a long cord here.
No, that's fine. I didn't know if she was laughing at me because Audrey hasn't been on the channel before, so like all my stupid things that I say that always make people mad, she can react to in real time.
You weren't saying anything funny at all. I think you were being very insightful.
Sorry, we were being disrespectful guests.
No, you weren't. No, you're not. Your dog. I'm sure people would like to hear what your dogs have to think more than me anyway. But anyway, just to finish my thought, this Rick Beato guy made the point that back in the day, a lot of the Beatles songs, if you look at the lengths of them, a lot of them aren't even 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Right.
But they still felt like a full song. You still felt like they were done when they were done because they managed to fit a full song in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of music nowadays that's shorter, they still have these sections of the songs being double the length of what they would like a verse is like double the length of a verse that a Beatles song would have.
Yeah.
So you have like a double length verse and then a double length chorus, a double length verse and a double length chorus, whereas you could just have a single length verse, right? But then you could just have a single length verse and a single length chorus, then a double length verse, then a double length chorus, and you'd still have a double length section of a song you could have in there and have it be the same length. And so seeing songs that are less than 3 minutes, but knowing it's the Black Keys and the way they've been writing music recently it feels more like a throwback old timey song. I feel like we're going to still be getting full length feeling songs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's my hope, at least.
Like
if we
fully
listen to
complete
this,
songs.
yes, a song that doesn't make me feel like there should be more to it, because you know how I hate that. I remade it today just for this. I have my fade outs board, and we're gonna keep track because the Black Keys on the last few albums have committed the crime of having fade outs in some of their songs. They've been known to do it throughout their whole catalog, though a vast majority of their music does not fade out. So I'm hoping we don't get a lot of fade outs, but I'm expecting a couple maybe with 14 songs. But if you're going to give me a 2-minute and 30-second song, you shouldn't fade that out.
Don't waste 10 seconds of it.
Don't waste 10 seconds fading it out, and don't just egregiously fade it out the second chorus comes in. Don't do that, please. So Audrey, I'm sure you're aware of my channel here. Like, our stance is that fade outs are never a good thing. There's literally never a good excuse for ever fading a song out. There's no reason any artist should ever do it under any circumstances, and it's always lazy and an indication of bad songwriting.
What about gapless transitions to the next song?
That's awesome. I have no problem with that. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Me too. I love that kind of stuff. So I have no problem with that. The only possible way I could say that it would maybe be excusable is if your song is literally about fading out. You know, I've had a lot of people say that Metallica's Fade to Black should get a pass. Yeah. Because it's Fade to Black. It has in the title of the song Fade to Black. Yep. And there's one of my favorite Frost songs is called Repeat to Fade. And the whole point of the ending of the song's like 7 minutes long. The last 3 minutes, they're like repeating the same thing a whole bunch, and it eventually fades out. And I'm like, I can't be mad at that because, and the only other song I've ever heard that fades out is the point of the song is that it's supposed to sound sort of like a train. And so it fades in, and it's like right? It sounds like the train's coming in, and then the song's there, and then the train leaves, so it fades out. I'm like, okay, that's the fourth wall breaking. I like that. I'm okay with that in that instance, and that's why. And I can live with that. But if they just play a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus, and then the song fades out, unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. So we'll see what ends up happening here. The other thing I have to mention is that, and I haven't read, I was looking in the booklet here, but I know that this album, and I read them, or they said this in one of their short videos on Facebook, which again, I recommend anyone go look them up on social media and look at all the cool videos they've been releasing to promote this album, because they're very, very, very funny. But one of the conversations they had was that this is the album that's taken them the longest to record of any album in their career. And normally they go into the studio and they just bang the songs out in a couple weeks and it's done. Sometimes they'll go into the studio and they don't even have any ideas for songs, and they'll just start jamming, come up with the songs, then bring in Danger Mouse or their producer, who kind of like shines everything up and adds a few extra things. And over the years, Dan and Pat have both gotten very good at all those extra things to the point where they don't even need Danger Mouse anymore. Even though Danger Mouse did produce, I think, 2 or 3 songs on this album, he did not do the whole album with them. But this album in particular took them like months and months of recording, which is a very different process for them. And the reason that is the case is because this is a very collaborative album. Every song features a bunch of guest artists, kind of like I was talking about that Dan Auerbach solo album. But a lot of the songs feature the same sort of guest artists. So there's like female backing vocals on a lot of the songs. One of my other favorite artists that reminds me a lot of the Black Keys, named Beck. Do you guys know who Beck is?
Of course.
Yeah. Yep. He's had some very famous songs over the years. Loser and Hey, when I See That Girl. He's had a lot of great songs. Yeah. And I really like his production style. It very much fits with the vibe of the Black Keys. It's kind of like a cool old school hip hop vibe mixed with blues, which is how I would describe the Black Keys. And so he is featured on like almost every song on this album. Oh. However, I did not look. I was looking in like every song, just to give you an example here. The first track on the album, actually we'll go to the second track. The second track is Don't Let Me Go, and that's Dan Auerbach, Patrick Carney, Beck Hansen, Tom Berkovic, Ray Yasalado, Mike Rojas, Ray Mason, Jake Botts, Sam Bacco, and Andy Gabbard. Now, that's a lot of people. On most Black Keys albums, it would just say Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, and Danger Mouse. Were like the three people who basically did everything for a vast majority of their albums the last 20 years or so. And so...
Interesting.
Yeah, and so this album was very collaborative, and that's the reason it took them so long to record. But I think what ended up happening was they would just kind of have their friends come into the studio, and then they would just feature them on all the songs. So the songs were crafted sort of over time with adding layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
And I intentionally did not look at what each of these people played on the songs. So like when I first listened to Beautiful People, their big single for this song, the thing that blew me away and that I noticed right away was there's piano in this song. And I think it's the first Black Keys song I've ever heard that has piano on it.
Now, where did the name The Black Keys come from?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I assume a piano key.
Yeah, I assume
right?
it's just the Black Keys.
But they don't use piano.
No, but you're right. That's actually kind of interesting. It's funny, and it's cool too because when you play all the Black Keys on a piano, no matter what key you play, it all works within that same key. So a simple way to write a song and totally cheat is to just play the Black Keys on the piano.
See.
So it can be like a super simple song. But one of my favorite examples of that is one of my favorite songs from the GTA Vice City soundtrack, Mister, Can You Tell Me Where My Love Has Gone? He's a Japanese boy. That's all Black Key notes.
Oh,
that whole thing. Dun,
nice.
dun, 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 dun. Those are all Black Key notes. But yeah, I don't know exactly how they chose that. I'm not that diehard of a fan. But I do have a lot to say. Obviously, we've already been recording for almost an hour. So let's get into this. Unless you, I'm sorry, I totally bogarted. Do you guys have anything to say that you're looking forward to or anything you're expecting?
I have no expectations going in.
I enjoy the single that's been on the radio. Other than that,
Yeah.
I'll be
When I first
surprised.
when I first heard the Beautiful People song, like I said, the thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that there was piano on it. And I absolutely loved it because they didn't just have a little bit of piano. It was a featured instrument, the whole song pretty much. And that tells me that with this album, or at least on that song, they were not afraid to do something that would maybe be hard to replicate live, because I'm assuming that they don't necessarily take a piano with them, though they do have keyboards with them. You know, so because before, when they've actually toured, they've had Danger Mouse actually just perform with them. And so he'll just play keyboards and stuff. And also sometimes Dan will play keyboards and things too. But mostly he plays just guitar and sings. But they'll have like 3-4 extra guys on stage playing stuff with them, and they kind of switch up what they're doing for songs. And then there's a big portion of the set where it's just Dan and Pat anyway, and they play some of their older stuff, or if they're doing a cover or something like that. One of the songs on this album is a cover song, and I was going to ask you this, Cody, but I forgot, and of course I put this away because I'm a ding-dong. So the song is...
I don't recognize any of them.
Yeah, well, I didn't even recognize it as a cover song either until I was looking at who wrote the songs. So every song on this album was written by Dan, Pat, and then maybe featuring an artist like Beck or something like that, but for the most part, Dan and Pat, except for the song... I Forgot to Be Your Lover. That was written by William Bell, Booker T. Jones. So William Bell and Booker T. Jones.
Are those like old blues artists?
I don't know. I don't know who they are. I was gonna look them up, and then I was like, whatever.
It sounds, maybe it's like a blues standard.
Yeah, it very well might be. So maybe that song will feel a little bit more like their Delta Cream
Booker
album.
T and the MGs. That's Booker.
Oh,
Booker
okay.
T Jones.
I thought Booker T sounded familiar, other than the five-time world champion Booker T.
Huh. Okay.
If you know, you know.
They did like Green Onions or whatever that song is.
Fried green tomatoes?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's get into this album. We're an hour into this recording, and so let's not waste any more of the people's time.
All right.
So the first track we have is This Is Nowhere, and this is actually, unfortunately, one of the longer tracks on the album at 3:44. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Do you want me to tell you who's featured on these songs before we listen to it, or do you want to listen to the songs first and be surprised?
Some of them list them on here. Yeah, go ahead and tell us who. I don't.
Well, the only thing is I don't necessarily want to spoil if we're listening to a song and there's like glockenspiel in this song. You know what I mean? Like I'd kind of like to be surprised hearing it in the song rather than knowing it's going to be in there beforehand.
Sure.
So let's just listen to it and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to adjust the volume of this. We'll see. But are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Then Audrey, you're pushing play, I believe. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then on the imaginary 0, you hit play, okay?
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Holy goodness, massive bass. Oh my God, I love it. Oh my God. Oh my God, that distorted bass is massive. And listen to that snare, it's just dry. Drums completely mono. Whoa. Spread out claps. Oh my God, this is awesome. Oh, tambourine. Those synths are awesome too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a sweep.
A filter sweep. Oh. Oh, I love this. The frequencies are exactly what they should be for this. The vocals are a little far back, but they're not too low, I don't think. I'm curious what they're going to do for a bridge here. Will there be a little guitar solo, maybe? Probably not. Those wide claps are cute. Chorus a third time. Having the guitar in here, the third chorus. Nice. So that the song could end here and it would be done and it'd be like around the 3-minute mark.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get 30 extra seconds here is it's gonna fade out, ain't it?
Yep. That's why this is one of the longer songs.
I stopped it because I don't want to hear it continuing to fade out. Okay, that's one.
Up there. Yep. Yeah. Perfect opening track, though.
Yeah.
Forget about the last 30 seconds.
Okay, you're right. I should, because their last album was so
you
disappointing.
Were way into that.
I know, but that's how a fade out can end. A fade out can ruin a song for me. So if every other song on this album fades out, it would be my least favorite Black Keys album, no matter what they're doing in the middle of the song.
Sure.
So now I'll say that song had Dan Auerbach doing vocals, guitar, and bass, which the bass was clearly the lead instrument in that song, the bass and the drums. Then we have Patrick Carney doing the drums, 808, claps, guitar, Moog synth, and tambourine. So he did a majority of the things on that we were hearing. I did notice when I was looking that I saw 808 a bunch. I didn't look through what everyone was doing, but I did look through what some of the songs had. And there was a lot of listing of 808, which do you guys know what an 808 is?
Is that a Roland drum machine?
Yes. Okay. So it's one of the most famous drum machines of all time. And basically when you hear hip hop music where it's a low thud that lasts a long time, the kick drum is an 808 kick is like the most famous sounding kick drum in all of music. And
I think we watched the Mark Ronson thing on that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But
there's a good show on Apple Plus called Hear the Sound with Mark Ronson. I forget what band is he in, or he's a producer.
Correct.
Yeah.
He produced like Amy Winehouse and those. And each one is like, there's an episode about drum machines. There's an episode about synthesizers. There's one about reverb. It's just, there's only like 6 episodes or something. It's
that
really
sounds
good,
awesome. I would probably really
cool.
like
they,
that.
They get all these, they get like Paul McCartney in there to talk about it and like all these great artists from history.
That's cool. That sounds really awesome. But
yeah.
And so in modern times, if you're not making a specific hip hop album that's supposed to sound like sort of a throwback, what you're using the 808 kick for probably is you take that really low frequency kick and you put it underneath your regular sounding kick, and it just adds this like subsonic frequency to it that probably wasn't there when you recorded the kick drum. And since the Black Keys are so drum heavy, and because they always record their drums in mono, and they have like a very particular style of drums that just sound impossibly awesome, in my opinion. I think the drums are like my favorite part of the Black Keys always. And the way Pat Carney plays them very simplistically, but also with a very awesome groove always. I'm sure that that's probably what the 808s are being used for in this case, but I'm really happy that they listed that because that's normally an audio trick that would never be talked about. Not because it's just something that people in the industry know about, but it's kind of a complicated thing that would be hard to explain to someone that doesn't really know anything about how things are recorded and how song layering and stuff works with drums and stuff. So, but I'm glad that they had that in there. So then we had Beck Hansen, who did some backing vocals on this song. Which Beck Hansen is Beck.
Yeah, I thought I heard Beck.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Then we had Tom Berkovac, who played some guitar, which is interesting because there wasn't very much guitar on that song at all, but he might have done some sort of a weird guitar effect or something that they looped or something like that. Who knows? But because I'm assuming that Dan played like the lead guitar part you were hearing there after the sort of first chorus and then the second chorus. But at the end, there was some guitars going. There was like more than just one track of guitars. Then we had Ray, and I don't know how to pronounce this, but I said Yasalado, but it could also be Jaquildo. So I have no clue how to pronounce it. Probably not that. Probably Yasildo, probably. So I don't know. But anyway, he played piano and Hammond organ. And I did not hear any piano. But I did hear a little bit of organ in there, so, whatever. But you wouldn't necessarily hear all of this stuff. And then Mike Rojas, he played piano, mellotron, and Moog synth. So those were those synths we were hearing. We talked about Cody in there. That was all this guy. And then Andy Gabbard, he did some just backing vocals. And then Sam Bacco, he played tambourine, shaker, cowbell, conga, and clap stack.
Jeez.
So that was a lot of cool stuff. And so... yeah, the claps during the chorus really stood out to me a lot. They were panned very wide, and it really helped like, okay, now we're in the chorus section because something was clearly way different with the stereo spectrum, and so that was really nice. And yeah, I liked it. How did you guys feel about that song?
I thought there was good vibes in the song.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good way to open the album.
Yeah,
very happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Audrey, Patrick doesn't listen to lyrics at all. So,
I didn't hear a single word that was said.
So I don't know if if this is supposed to be like talking about Akron. It's just this is nowhere over and over, and they talk about like going back and all this stuff. So I don't know. I'll be curious if that theme is over the whole album. This whole Ohio theme.
Yeah, and please feel free to mention and comment on any of the lyrics at all, because I just literally won't even hear a single one of them. But because that's just how I listen to music, especially the first time. But yeah, if you get any sort of messaging from it or anything you want to talk about, please bring that up and talk about it. I would love that. I always love it when bands use the word nowhere in in their songs or in like song titles or album titles or whatever, because nowhere is also now here, you know? So, and I think somewhere I saw that once somewhere, someone had a song titled Nowhere, comma, like now here or something. And so I always think that you can do really cool, like play on words with the word nowhere. And there's other words you can do that with too, of course, but okay. So should we move on to track 2?
Yep.
All right. This is Don't Let Me Go. Do you guys like listening to the song and then talking about who did what on it, or do you want to try to do?
Yeah.
You like that? Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it this way.
All right. In that case, then this is a much shorter song. This is a whole minute and 10 seconds shorter. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Hopefully, it's not a fade out, or I'll be really disappointed. The fact that the first song on this album fades out is a huge bummer to me, because I will probably just skip that song every time I listen to this from now on, which is a huge bummer. Well, actually, what I do when I listen to a song that fades out is the moment it starts fading out, I just skip to the next song. So that's how I kind of get over it and still am able to listen to the song. Okay, this is Don't Let Me Go in 3, 2, 1. Holy crap.
Oh.
So different. Oh, the drums are massive, though. Oh.
It's the same bass.
I think that might be a key played bass.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll have to look. I'm not looking now, but that sounds like an electric bass to me, like a keyboard synth bass. It might not be, though. I love the stabs. That's Dan singing in his falsetto voice. Oh,
Little westerny guitar.
yes. And I love the kabasa, I think it's called. Song 2, and I'm done with my beverage. You can definitely tell there's more people singing with Dan on this one.
It's almost like wall of sound,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
It's very compressed. All right, where are we at time-wise? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, I
They're
think it's
doing
gonna
the
end
thing.
proper.
They're doing the thing.
Nope. There you go.
We don't want to write a third part to the song. We just want to have 2 parts to the song.
Hey, they
Because we're a
didn't fade
band.
out.
We're a band in 2024, and we can't only write 2 parts per song. I hate that. It's so lazy. Don't do that. That was the first Black Keys song I've ever heard that was over-compressed.
Huh.
But I think that it sounds the way it sounds on purpose. But when that snare was very strong during the chorus. It was on every beat. It was clang, 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 clang. Right. When it would hit, you could hear everything behind it dropping in volume a little. So they had a lot of sidechain compression on that. And I don't think that it was done poorly. I think something can be overcompressed on purpose and done well. And I think that sounded very throwback to me. Like you said, Audrey, sort of wall of soundy. One of the reasons it sounded that way was because everything was so compressed and like as loud as humanly possible.
Yeah.
But also very clear. There was some delays and reverbs on things, but it was nothing was very like cavernous sounding. So it all has this very like close feel to it. Mm-hmm. And even all the like extra percussion things. I was shocked when it first started and we got the acoustic guitar and then those like sort of like stabs we were getting on like some kind of an organ, I think. I would almost say I liked that song. I don't think I liked it better than the first one, but there were aspects of it that I really liked a lot. I think the only time
it was more interesting. I think it has a more interesting sound.
Yeah, definitely a different song. Like in their whole catalog, that song would stand out. That's probably one of only like, 7 songs the Black Keys have ever done that had an acoustic guitar in it. So like, that's a really cool thing for them to have as the second track on the album. That tells me we're going to get an album of variety. We're going to get a lot of stuff from different things from track to track. So this song is called Don't Let Me Go. And this song was written by Dan and Pat. The first song was written by Dan, Pat, and Beck. This first song was written by Dan, Pat, Daniel Nakamura, Beck, and Beck Hansen. So there's an extra person in there, Daniel Nakamura, and Ben Beck Hansen also. So we have Dan Auerbach with vocals, guitar, bass, Pat Carney with drums, 808s, claps, and mellotron, Beck Hansen with background vocals, Tom Berkovac with electric guitar and acoustic guitar, that Ray guy whose name I can't pronounce, piano, Hammond organ, acetone organ, and Wurlitzer, vibraphone, glockenspiel, string arp, and Moog synth. So he did all the things you can do this to. He did them all.
I don't know what an acetone organ is.
An acetone harp. Yeah, I don't know. That's an acetone organ.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that, or unless it's acetone. It could be acetone, not acetone. It might just be a specific brand. I don't know.
Yeah, I assume it is. I just never heard of it.
Yeah. Then we have Mike Rojas with mellotron and strings, Ray Mason with trumpet and trombone, which I thought I heard some of that horns in there. Jake Botts with tenor saxophone and baritone saxophone, and then Sam Baca with tambourine, conga, shaker, cowbell, weasel, and then a weasel. Wheezle, a weasel.
Oh.
I don't know what that is. And then Andy Gabbard with backing vocals again. Huh. I thought maybe this would have been one of the ones with female backing vocals, because I thought I heard when Dan was doing that sort of high part in the pre-chorus, I thought I heard some female vocals in there, but it must have just been one of these other guys or Beck doing his falsetto voice too. So
I thought it was too short.
Yeah.
Yep. But it did end.
Yeah,
so.
it didn't fade out.
And I will say, one of the things especially with that, the Arcs album that came out last year, this song reminded me very heavily of something that could have been on that album. That album has a very strong sort of Old West sound to the whole album. And there's actually 2 instrumental songs on that album that are just like straight up sound like Ennio Morricone could have written them. And they are each like a minute and a half long. And they are just Old West like movie soundtrack songs, and they very much have this style of production. So I'm wondering if, and actually this album was recorded in the beginning of 2023, I believe. So this album was recorded for, I read online, it actually says in here, hold on, let me just check real quick. It says recorded January, interesting. Recorded January 2022 through June 2023. So that means they were literally working on this album the same time they were working on Dropout Boogie, which came out last year, or I think it was last year.
It's possible they just had like the single was a year before or something.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but I think it's because of the collaborative nature of this, they probably just had like a bunch of songs and we're going to make an album that just is going to sound a little different and feature all these extra people on it.
And so work around other people's schedules.
Exactly. And so like when Beck came over, they probably spent like a couple weeks with them at their studio and they just added all this stuff, recorded a bunch of things. And then I'm guessing they sent it all somewhere else for someone else to mix it. It would be my guess. Yeah, it says mixed by Mark Spike Stent, who's mixed up all their other stuff but in the past. So I'm guessing that guy just got millions of things, and then it was up to him to kind of decide what stayed in the song and what, how to make it all fit together. Because you would be surprised, actually you'd probably be shocked how much the final decisions are made by the mixing engineers. You know, you go through and you record all this stuff, and then it's the mixing engineers and maybe a producer sitting there with them, or the band members if they want to be part of that process too. A lot of bands will sit in there with them, and then that's why the albums are usually produced by the guys in the band as well. But in this case, I'm guessing they just sent it to this guy who I said I've seen Mark Spike Stent. I've seen his name on a lot of things. I'm guessing he just got all these tracks, and it was up to him to kind of decide what to keep in, what to take out, what should be featured here, what shouldn't. And then he mixes the album or each song individually, sends it to the guys, and then they say, oh, I think this, give him their notes, and he changes it, does whatever they say, and then they go back and forth a couple times until they're like, yeah, that's great. And I can imagine Dan and Pat being the kind of people who are just like, whatever it is whatever it is, that's fine. We don't really care. Because that's totally how they are. They are absolutely like old school musicians, like just whatever it ends up being is whatever it ends up being. And they would not be the kind of guys to like do a bunch of post stuff. So even though you would be shocked how much effort is put into this album to make it sound the way it is, I'm sure. Yeah, so I agree with you guys. I like it a lot. It reminded me a lot of the ARC stuff, like I said. So, and I don't know the names of all the guys from the ARCs, but I wouldn't even be surprised if some of these people whose names I'm mentioning, like Sam Bacco and Jake Botts, those guys might even be in the ARCs. I'm not positive, but I could look, but I'm not going to waste the time doing that. So, all right, so now we're on to the song that we all know. So let's just go ahead and give this one a listen. Beautiful People, Stay High. Now, this song did have a chorus at the third time, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see. This song is only really like 10 seconds longer than the song we just listened to, so we'll see if it still feels short to us, though. All right, are you ready, Audrey?
Yep.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. This just sounds like the Black Keys to me.
It really does.
And then there's that piano.
Yeah.
So this song starts with the chorus. Ooh. Definitely can hear the saxophone in there.
It's vocally, iconically Black Keys.
Yeah. So like right now we should be a third of the way through the song, but we're a half of the way through the song. Interesting. Okay, so the structuring there, did that song feel like a full song to you guys?
I don't know. It was like very quick between the choruses were short.
Mm-hmm.
I felt. I didn't count how many
Yeah.
verses.
There was
and
4
everything.
choruses
Okay.
because it started with a chorus and then they had a verse and
they
then a
did
chorus.
like a refrain at the end or something, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they kind of went into the chorus again at the end there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like satisfied with the length of that song. I don't feel like I needed much more of that. I would always love there to be some like I like it when songs are like that's a kind of a high energy song. I like it when stuff like that like they break it down for the bridge and then there's like a little build up back into it.
Yeah,
We don't really get that very much with Black Keys songs, and I can understand why because they're like a rock band, so they just rock through the song. They don't need to make everything all crazy, but I don't know. I like that one. I love the piano. There's basically just someone playing very simple, like low piano notes. Like it's not someone on the piano trying to like play the piano and be all flashy. It's just like someone doing these simple things. And I really feel like I liked that a lot. And then in the verses, when the piano would just play those few little, very simple low notes, it was playing along with some sort of a lower saxophone. And that created a really neat sound that is not a very Black Keysy sounding thing. So I loved that. Yeah, I liked it. I like that song.
I won't be too surprised if it's used in a lot of commercials and content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Black Keys generally don't license their songs anymore after
really?
Brothers because they got a lot of people who were like, at that time in their career, they were accused of being sellouts. Like
They probably
a lot.
financed their next album.
They're still financing them to this day because every time, oh yeah, absolutely. But they hated doing that. I've read interviews with them before that they just felt like they themselves felt like sellouts and stuff because they were a garage rock band, like they were never supposed to be the biggest band on the planet. And they never wanted to be that. And so that's kind of, to me, like one of the cool things about them. Like, they just are normal dudes. And they just happen to be like some of the best music producers in the world. Like I said, I love a lot of the stuff that they have worked on that they're not in those bands, Like that Jesse Wilson album. I love that because it sounds like something the Black Keys would make, but with just a different singer, basically, in that case. But they do all sorts of bands. And Dan Auerbach on his Easy Eye Records record label, he has a bunch of artists that are like in their 70s and up. So like guys who are making probably their like last album of their career. So they have just like these gravelly, deep, like bluesy voices. And then Dan will just have all these famous people come in and create this music around these crazy voices. And I don't necessarily care for those albums as much, but I don't have any history with those people. But a lot of those people are like New Orleans jazz musicians and people who are like important in their communities and their musical spheres. And it's really interesting for me to hear some of that stuff. But like I said, I've never been like super blown away by any of that stuff. But yeah. So real quick, that song featured more people than any of the other songs we've heard so far. That was Dan Auerbach with vocals, guitar, bass, Pat Carney with drums, 808s, claps, and some guitar. Dan the Automator. So Dan the Automator is another name for Danger Mouse. I think. Hey, Google, is Dan the Automator and Danger Mouse the same person? Now I'm second guessing myself. They might be different people, but Dan the Automator is the guy that I was thinking of this. No. Hey, Google, who is Dan the Automator? So his real name is Daniel Nakamura, which he was featured on the previous track.
Oh.
Oh, no, he's one of the people that wrote this song. Okay, but I thought I read Dan Nakamura as one of the... Maybe not. Okay, well, anyway... Okay, well, I'm sorry. I may have gotten my entire history of the Black Keys mixed up, and Dan the Automator is the person I was thinking of, not Danger Mouse. So I may have... Please disregard anything I said about Danger Mouse. Now I feel like a big old dumb.
You're just going to have to, like, dub over.
Oh, my God. I'm
and
so
then
dumb.
they worked with
Dan the Automator. Dan the Automator. And I don't care about it enough for that. So Dan the Automator did some sampling on this. Beck Hansen, background vocals, and he played the Celeste. Tom Berkovic, guitar. Ray... the guy whose name I can't pronounce, piano and Wurlitzer, Mike Rojas, piano, Ray Mason, trombone, Jake Botts, tenor saxophone and baritone saxophone, Chris St. Hillier, claps, Sam Bacco. So we have, Sam Bacco, conga, bongo, shaker, and bells. And then Andy Gabbard, backing vocals, Zach Gabbard, backing vocals and claps, and I bet those guys are probably in some band that I should know. Lisa Hans, backing vocals, and Ashley Wilcoxon, backing vocals. So there are 2 female backing vocalists and 2 male backing vocalists, I assume. And And then also Beck is in there, like basically on every song, doing background vocals. So Beck was just in there doing background vocals on every song we've had so far. But also he is like listed as a co-writer. So
Cool.
I think they basically just had Beck help them write all of these songs, which is neat. So, but as we both said, as Audrey and I both said at the beginning of this, it just sounded like quintessential Black Keys. So, which I definitely agree. That definitely sounds like, but also more of a Black Keys song from off of their last 3 albums. Their last 2 albums, Dropout Boogie and Let's Rock, have had a lot more, I feel like, more of an upbeat feeling to them, which is definitely this song. Before that, I think their music was a little bit more kind of serious sounding and slower. But a lot of their more recent music on their last 3 albums is faster and more upbeat, I feel. So, okay. Are you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
I'm basically the only person talking, so just like
That's okay.
say whatever you want to say when you want to say anything.
Will do.
Okay, so now we've got On the Game, which is 4 minutes and 2 seconds long, so we'll probably get a 30-second fade out. But I see less people listed. I'm not looking at what they play, but I see less people listed, so I'm guessing this will be a little bit more of a straightforward song. We'll have to just see. And I see here written by Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, Leon Michaels, and Noel Gallagher. Because I know their work with Noel Gallagher on this album was like a big deal. Do you guys know who he is?
I've heard that name, but I don't know.
He's the singer for Oasis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then also he's done a lot of his own solo work in the last, I don't know how many. But I'm not a big fan of Oasis because, as everybody knows,
Yes.
they were in a huge fight with Blur, and I back Blur.
You picked your side.
I picked my side, and it wasn't the Oasis side, and I still to this day
I'm
think
on
I
side
picked the
Blur
right side.
now too because of you.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
got me on.
As you should be. But really nothing they've
Hold
released
on.
in the last
What team
20
is
years.
Audrey on?
I was just going to say, maybe.
You're Maybay on
Oh,
Oasis.
no. Do you know any other Oasis songs? I'll bet you know more Blur songs than that. You for sure at least know Woohoo! And that's probably the
had
only
a
one you know.
comeback.
Yeah,
They had
she
a
knows the new
recent
one.
comeback, yeah.
Okay, this is On the Game. I'm really excited to hear this. Just the title of the song is intriguing to me, so we'll see what happens. Are you ready?
Yep. Sorry,
Okay.
you have to say it because he's not
Yes.
looking at the
Oh, yes.
camera.
Oh, so yes, whenever I say that, I have my Winamp pulled up and it's covering you guys, so I'm just waiting for the verbal confirmation.
Gotcha.
We are ready.
So let's practice. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Ooh, there's that piano back. A slower song. Definitely slower. That Congo bongo on the side.
Need a remedy. I go and pick a melody and sing these blues away at the break of day. Maybe shake my tambourine. I look up at a movie screen and dream away where I feel no pain. 'Cause everybody's on the game. They keep on howling at the rain. It's how we know we're all the same. The joy, the pain. Everybody's on the game.
Those are very different sounding guitars for the Black Keys.
Yeah.
Seven devils. Baby, don't look now, think they're on their
This song is giving me a little bit of 90s feel almost.
way all day.
It is very 90s.
There's one thing about it. The ones who want a free mankind go and feed you lies. Write your
And hey, that makes sense because that's when Oasis was Oasis.
everybody's on the game. They keep you howling at the
I don't like this one.
It is. I like it, but it's like this sounds a lot more like a song that would have been on that album with the hard cover to look at, Turn Blue. This is much more like that style of a song.
I don't know if it's just the fact that you said Noel Gallagher, but it sounds like a Britpop song.
Doesn't it, though? It's the strumming guitar, for sure. Because the Black Keys do not do strumming guitar, really. Maybe some acoustic stuff, but very rarely with electric. Slide guitar there was nice. I like that lead guitar in the chorus here. It's almost a little bit too loud. I really like it, though.
The guitars are they're like buzzing almost.
This is absolutely 1,000% going to fade out. They're just going to loop this one more time and then it's going to fade out. They feel free to prove me wrong, Black Keys, but I don't think they're going to. They might. No? I don't know. That bongo player is really going to town on the left side. I don't know if I've recorded with you, Cody, since I got my new cable, my new headphone extension, but I now hear.
With it? Oh,
no,
I now. The right side.
I now hear what's on the left is on the left.
Hey, that's great.
Oh.
All right.
That was a very different song.
It reminds me of any kind of song in a teenage movie, where right before we get the resolve at the end of the movie, there's some kind of music playing over the activity. I'm thinking of
the end of the One Crazy Night.
It's like
kind of a thing.
I'm thinking
montage.
of the montage,
sad montage,
building up until what's going to happen at the end of the movie.
The resolution.
But it's usually college kids or high schoolers this is I'm not into this.
No,
it
didn't
seems
care for
like
it.
any of this genre could put this together, and I expect more of the Black Keys.
I agree with you in terms of the way the song was written and the style of the song. However, to me, what makes it special is the Black Keys sauce that's sprinkled on it. This sounded very distorted in really good ways, I think. This is the first time that we were listening to this. Of the 4 songs we've heard so far, this is the first time that I was like, is what I'm hearing a little bit too intentionally distorted? Is this where they took that knob, that lo-fi knob again, if you could boil it all down to one knob, did they turn it up a little bit too much? But the more I listen to the song, the more I think I got what they were trying to do. And I think what you're kind of saying is right, Audrey. If it didn't have these effects on it that they're putting on it, and the Black Keysiness of it, I think it would have been a very generic sounding song. But because it had that Black Keys layer over I keep wanting to say a sheen over the top of it, but the Black Keys layer is anything but sheen. It's like this dirty, grimy rustiness over the top of the whole thing. I think that kept me, because normally I would not enjoy a song like that, I don't think. I really did like the idea of in the chorus, there's a little vocal line and then a guitar line. Da 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 da, right? And then some vocals and then another guitar line. I really liked that. I thought it was very tasty guitar part, tastefully done. And we were a minute into this song and I was like, boy, it's going to take a lot for the Black Keys to screw this up and have it not be my number 1 album of the year. Because this is so good. I just do not think that they can, unless they screw something up production-wise. I just love the way they write songs so much. And I especially love their production so much. And this is absolutely doing it for me. This is doing what I want a Black Keys album to do. Even on a song like that, as I said, is not necessarily maybe my style of song as much. And I know that Noel Gallagher is featured on at least 3 or 4 other songs on the album. So I'm curious when we get to those songs if they are also a little bit more mid-tempo, strummy, more 90s influenced songs, or if that just happens to be the case with this one. But as I said when we were listening, that sounded like a song that could have been on that Turn Blue album. That Turn Blue album, a lot of the songs were a little bit slower, and they had sort of gang vocally sounding choruses that weren't like happy gang vocal shouty stuff like on the previous song. Much more of a mid-tempo, ghosty sounding sort of chorus. But I liked it. I did like it. I'm not going to say I didn't, because that would be a lie. And the fact that it didn't fade out was, it's got points for that too. I'll just real quick say that song featured a lot less people. Dan Auerbach, vocals, guitar, bass. Pat Carney, drums, 808, claps, guitar. So far, every single song has featured Dan or Pat playing the 808. Again, I'm assuming that what that means is it's just a way to make the kick sound a lot more beefy. Then we have Noel Gallagher, background vocals and guitar. So I'm guessing he was playing the strummed guitar on the right side. That would be my guess. Leon Michaels, guitar and organ. Tom Berkovic, guitar. Mike Rojas, piano. Andy Gabbard, background vocals. Lisa Hans, background vocals. Ashley Wilcoxon, background vocals. So a lot of the same people the four same people that did background vocals on the previous song, they did it on this song. And I should probably put this rubber band away because people probably can't see it. And they're like, what the heck's he doing with his fingers this whole time? Okay, I'm also going to take this opportunity to say, and I should have said this at the beginning, so I apologize for saying it here. If we try to upload this album and you're not hearing the music along with us, it means that we got a copyright violation. And I had to upload the video without the music in it. That's why we're doing the countdown so that you can start your own version of the song along with us and listen along with us. I know it's a huge pain in the butt. Trust me, I agree. If I could, I would upload everything with the music in it and never make any money off of any of my videos, because any video that features music, I don't get any revenue from. It goes to the artist. Yeah. So, and there will definitely be enough bleed, I think, through our headphones on this that I think even if I upload it without the music in it, it will still register that the songs are there, and I probably wouldn't be able to monetize it anyway. So, but I'm guessing this video will only get 800 views anyway, so we'll end up seeing what happens. Anyone can feel free to prove me wrong. I have 4,300 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing because I haven't been doing anything on the channel. So
I'm going to watch this one.
No, you won't. Thank you to you would know. Do you watch the videos that you're in?
No, not really.
Yeah, and most of this video is going to be you guys still picture anyway, because you are very. And I have you hooked up to my. We're hooked up to my good internet.
Wired internet.
I'm hooked up to LAN. So
I don't know.
Whatever.
You're doing it for us on our end too.
Right, which is something I found out from Chris last time. My video is perfect the entire time, and it's just because I'm getting the direct signal. So, and I'm the one talking 90% of the time, so I guess it's more important.
Yeah,
anyway.
so we're fine. Well, I'll just cover my mouth with my mic when I talk.
That's
so
what
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. See my lips.
I was gonna make you move Audrey's mic earlier because I really can't see her face at all the whole time. But I was like, well, we've already started this, so I'm not gonna bother with it.
That's okay.
But if you want to move your mic off to the side, Audrey, like I have, and then just talk into it a little, you can do that. Feel free.
This is about our opinions, not how we look.
Right. There's no cats. There's no cleavage, so no one cares. So
there's dogs.
You guys do have dogs in the background, though, and I'm sure people would love them if they could see them, but you just have this darkness behind you, so it's mysterious. Okay, track 5, Only Love Matters. We're getting into a little run of songs here that I believe are all about relationships, so we'll see what ends up happening there. Not something I can really relate to personally, but you guys maybe, so we'll have to see what you think about that. Maybe. Let's just go ahead and get into this. This is Only Love Matters, 3.5 minutes about, so we'll see if it feels like a complete song. Are you guys ready?
We are ready.
Awesome. In 3, 2, 1. I just love when I hear the Black Keys drums. They could make a whole album that's just them drumming, and I would love it. Oh. God, I love the drums. I can't even.
Dreaming all alone when no one gets to bother me. Open up my mind, let me see what I might see. Drive all night with my radio on. Never have to change the song. Dreaming all alone when no one gets to bother me. Well, I'm free. It's only love that matters. It's only love that matters. It's love and only love. You're mine, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine.
Okay, now an observer of the video might think that I wasn't paying attention very much during that song. I was just confirming everything I said earlier was correct. Danger Mouse was the guy. He did produce all their stuff, blah, 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 blah. So I loved that song. I think that might be one of my top 2 favorites that we've heard so far. That was a little bit more straightforward, I feel. But it definitely sounded like a Black Keys song. And I loved. There's just nothing like the combination of like drums and low frequency, whether it's coming from a bass or Dan's guitar. Because in some of the Black Keys songs, what you think you're hearing is a bass, but it's actually just a guitar. It's some of the earlier stuff, at least, because obviously a lot of their early music had no bass in it at all. But Dan would play just simple stuff on like the low E string, and would kind of sound like a bass. The White Stripes do the same thing sometimes, because that famously like the bum 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 bum, right? Everyone thinks that's a bass. It's not. It's a guitar. But anyway, I liked that. I wasn't really paying attention to the structuring of the song very much, but I loved everything that I was hearing. So, how did you guys feel about that one?
I was really lukewarm on that one.
Okay.
I liked it better than the last song. And I liked the hoo hoo hoo.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I like the Black Keys because of the different interesting components of their songs, and the last 2 were just a little bland.
I can see that. So this was one that also features Noel Gallagher again. So I would say that can alleviate our fears that all the Noel Gallagher songs are going to sound the same, because that one sounded. I feel like that sounded more of like a stereotypical Black Keys song.
Yeah, it was way different.
Not that the previous one didn't, but do you think it sounded different than the first 4 though? First 3?
4, yeah. I thought 4 sounded way different than
4, but I mean the first. It was if you take 4 out, all the songs would sound sort of congruent, though. I feel. Yeah. Okay, that's what
I feel like this was back to more of a Black Keys sound.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought you meant, but I wanted to make sure. So for this, we have Dan with vocals, guitar, bass, Pat with the same stuff. Unless they do something different, I'm not even going to mention them anymore. Well, actually, it says Pat Carney, drums, 808s, claps, mellotron, tambourine, cowbell, shaker. So he did a little bit more aux percussion stuff. Then we have Noel Gallagher, background vocals and guitar. Leon Michaels, tenor saxophone, baritone saxophone. Guitar, glockenspiel, mellotron, and then acetone organ again. So Tom Berkovac, guitar, Ray, guy's name I can't pronounce, piano, Mike Rojas, piano, then we have Andy Gabbard, backing vocals, Sam Bacco, tambourine, conga, block. Interesting. And then we have Lisa Hans and Ashley Wilcoxon and Trey Keller, all background vocals. So
Okay.
I liked it. I'm excited, but I'm more excited for where we're going. Because this next song is one of their songs that actually features an artist. This is Candy and her friends featuring Lil Noid.
Lil Noid.
Lil Noid.
Lil Noid.
They did not avoid the Noid on this album.
No. Hate that little guy.
So I'm really hoping that Lil Noid, based on the Lil, is a rapper and that we get a rap verse on this song.
Yeah.
I really, fingers crossed, want a rap verse. I want this to be a sweet beat with an awesome groove and Dan singing and then a rap verse. I want that more than anything in the whole world because
the title
that
has
is
me intrigued.
Yeah, it's very
Candy and her
interesting,
friends.
And her friends, yeah.
Now, this one says written by Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, Angelo Petraglia, and Derek Harris. And I'm guessing that one of those guys, Angelo Petraglia or Derek Harris, is actually the real name of Lil Noid.
Lil Noid.
Lil Noid. Lil Noid. You think Noid is supposed to be nerd, but it's like a way to like a
Or
Lil Noid.
annoyed.
No,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's a reference to the Domino's guy.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Oh, is that would have predated Little Noid?
Lil Noid.
It's got to be nerd, but like Noid. You know, like you're
I don't-
annoyed.
No, I
Lil
think
Noid.
it's
Don't
the
think
Noid.
so.
He annoys you, so they call him Noid.
Hey Google, who is Lil Noid? She just said, "Here you go," is all she said. So I'm guessing she sent something to some device in the house. It's probably playing
Your
music
mom is
now.
now listening to Lil Noid.
She's listening to Lil
upstairs.
Noid. I don't know what that
Now
would
she's
be.
a
But
little annoyed.
now she's very annoyed. Okay. I wish that would be the case. All right, let's listen to some Lil Noid.
Okay, we're
Candy
ready.
and her friends, Lil Noid, in 3, 2, 1. Ugh. Whoa. That was like a Depeche Mode guitar for a second.
Yeah.
Dry acoustic guitar spread wide. Very interesting. I don't know if I can hear a rap verse over this. A lot of guitar, lead guitar here.
They turn the day into night.
Lil Noid is probably some famous guitar player.
Down the avenue like shadows in the light. They got that big black top down. Getting wasted, racing
I love the guitar.
out of this town. Candy and her friends rolling down 8th Avenue. Red Mercedes Benz.
Oh yeah, it's a rap song. He mentioned a Benz. I love this. Again, those wide claps. Okay, here's where we're probably gonna get whatever it is. Oh no, verse 2. Okay. All right, hey. Probably plays the harmonica. Uh-oh, bad word.
Uh-oh.
Not very common for the Black Keys. But now that means the rapper is free to say whatever he wants, if that's what it is.
That's right. This is already flagged as explicit.
Yeah, yes, yes. Oh boy, oh boy.
Lil Noid.
We've changed the
You
tempo.
know who it is.
Yeah, uh-huh. Guarantee they weren't going back to the chorus after this.
This is so weird.
different
I do
song.
not know what's happening.
Hey, yo. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Oh, I would listen to a whole album of this easily. I have a whole album of this. It's called Black Rock. Oh, that fill was cool. Oh.
suicidal love, please. Somebody in it. Time to rake up my leaves.
Yeah, they're definitely not going back to the chorus anymore.
My sleeves and get on my feet.
It was a weird transition.
Yeah, it was. Like, I don't know why
It's
this
like
is in
two
the same
different
song.
songs.
Yeah.
I feel like a fan cause I'm pushing the breeze. And how the man cause I'm always pushing the lead. Yeah.
This is like Gorillaz. That's actually a lot like Gorillaz, that last little part there. I love it. I don't even care. I love it.
That was cool.
Yeah, I love it. How did you feel, Audrey?
No comment.
I was sensing some. I wasn't
Lil Noid
watching you.
Ruined it.
A little annoyed, very
We did look up
annoyed.
Lil
Audrey was a
Noid.
little annoyed.
You were a little annoyed.
Just a little.
Lil Noid does not have a Wikipedia page.
He does not. We were trying to
Oh.
look him up during the song.
He's a 90s rapper.
He
Really?
is Memphis, Tennessee, associated with the horrorcore scene of Memphis.
Really? That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So he's an older rapper. I
That's
guess,
awesome.
but
That's
pretty
really cool.
obscure.
Yeah. Well, that I'm not surprised about that. A lot of the people that Dan and Pat work with are like unknown people, or at least people who
Yeah.
might not be mainstream.
Not
at
something you
least.
would recognize right away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
periphery.
No offense intended to Lil Noid.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
for sure.
One of the
And
premier
also-
horrorcore 90s rappers.
Yeah,
Whatever
and also
that means, yes.
like a lot. We've also said on this album that they've been working with Noel Gallagher and Beck a lot, which a lot of
Yeah.
people know those guys. So,
Sure.
and we do have one other song later on that is their new big single called "Paper Crown" that features Beck and Juicy J. So I'm guessing Juicy J is a rapper. So
Yeah,
we might get
that'll
one
be
more
exciting.
song with some rap in it. So I'm really excited for that. I would love it if every song had that. I'm a little bit bummed that the song wasn't, the rapping part wasn't like incorporated into the song a little bit more. It just felt like the song ended and a new song started. Because it was definitely a different tempo. Like the song was something, and then there was very few elements in the second half of that song, or the last third of it, I guess, that were in the first 2/3. So,
Yeah.
but I loved what I was hearing. So, and it didn't fade out. So that's always good. Okay, so this next song is the one that is the cover song written by William Bell and Booker T. Jones. So we'll see
Booker
if this
T.
this song, I'm guessing, will feel throwback and old timey a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
It's also
Yeah.
the shortest song.
yeah, which doesn't surprise me
Well,
at all to know that that's the
Almost
cover
the short-
song.
Oh, it is the shortest, yeah.
2:27. So, all right, in 3, 2, 1. Oh, I forgot. I was going to mention the guitar in that previous song. I really liked it a lot.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Well, if I did, then I'm sorry.
Oh, that organ.
Yeah.
God, the snare drum. Oh,
Hold you in my loving arms.
it's awesome because back in the day, you would never have had drums that sounded like this. This is a modern thing. And oh God, it's just so good.
And I spend my life making up to you. Oh, I forgot to be your lover. And I'm so sorry.
Those strings too are very like Motowny.
Yeah, it's very romantic.
Soul.
I love it.
Yeah, yes.
Just how much I care. I've been working for you, doing all I can, and work all the time to make me a man. Oh, I forgot to be your lover,
So who's singing?
and I'm
Dan,
Okay.
but all the background vocals are different people, I think, which you can really tell, and I love. I love that aspect of this album so far.
Yeah.
I love it when a band has a second person in the band that does most of the background vocals, because you can really tell. I like that a lot. Oh, wow, that is really short feeling, though. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That was like an interlude almost. Wow. I don't even know what the chorus was to that song. Now, maybe they did the chorus that was obvious and I was just listening to the music, but wow, that was really short in my opinion. Do you
I
guys
want to
feel-
dance to you, babe, in the kitchen to that song. That is a romantic song, and I loved it.
Yeah, that like the bum 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 bum, like that is such a old school, like familiar sounding
Yeah. And that
chord
Hammond
progression,
organ
whatever.
in there. Was it
Yes,
the
and the
Hammond
way it was.
organ?
Yeah, I'm guessing a Hammond. Yeah. I really enjoy what's happening here. I think I'll probably be less annoyed with the length of the songs. Maybe when we listen to it, just listening to the album as a whole,
Right. Yeah.
probably
If you're
be
not
less
stopping.
annoyed but I am a little annoyed
You'll just be a
with it.
little annoyed.
as it is now. Yeah. But I am annoyed with it. Seriously though, like it is. Gosh, dang it! I didn't want that to happen. But if I just think of it as a cool little throwback interlude, then I can get over it. But coming from the song we just came from too, that was sort of a split in half song. It is kind of interesting to have like a shorter song after that.
Yeah, it's almost like 3 short songs in a row.
Yeah, really. Yes. So that is kind of an interesting choice to have that song right there. But still, I liked it. This is Dan Auerbach, vocals, guitar, bass, Pat, drums, 808 claps, Tommy Brennick, which I believe is a different person than we've had before. That's baritone guitar and guitar, so that's kind of cool. I like baritone guitar whenever it's in anything. Kelly Finnegan, which I think might also be a new name, Hammond organ and background vocals, Mike Rojas piano, Matt Combs strings, Sam Bacco trombone shaker conga, tambourine shaker conga, wind chimes and cymbals. So that's it, just 5 people on that song.
So what did Booker T do? Write the song?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he wasn't featured. It was written by William Bell and Booker T.
Oh, that's right, because this is
The cover.
The cover,
The cover song.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So I thought for sure I heard background vocals in there, but the only person we have listed as background vocals is Kelly Finnegan. So, which could have been a majority of the background vocals, but Dan also, I'm sure, did some of his own background vocals as well. But I definitely heard a different person in there. So, and I did want to just focus on that for a second. Like I said during the song there, like I really enjoy it when a band has multiple members that can do vocals. Usually there's just one person that does lead vocals and then the other guitar player or whoever will do some background vocals. And I really like that. I feel like it makes a band a lot more versatile. And you can really tell when you're listening to a group or gang vocal sounding section of a song when there's more than one voice. Really good singers and even bad singers like myself can do overdubs and have it sound really cool and make it sound like a gang vocal or whatever, or just a simple vocal harmony. But there is just something special to me about a band that has an additional person in there. And so the fact that most of the other people that we're hearing on these songs are doing background vocals, I love that. Personally, I think that's great. And I would guess when they tour with this album, they'll probably, and maybe they've been doing this for years. I've never seen the Black Keys live, but I'm guessing when they play live, they have at least 2 other people whose job is to just stand there and do vocals with Dan. I'm guessing. Because I know Pat Carney does no vocals, and I don't think that a lot of these other guys are doing any vocals either. So, all right, now we have Please Me Till I'm Satisfied. So let's go ahead and listen to that and see what we have. It's 2 minutes, 44 seconds. We'll see how we feel about that. You guys ready?
Ready when you are.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. A lot of the songs are starting with drums, which is pretty cool. Wow, those tom drums are loose
Very
and
distorted.
yes. Well, there's a distorted guitar in there with it.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah.
That was a very interesting sound.
every line of this sounds like it's from a 60s song.
Absolutely 100%. Interesting. Now, I will say, even though that was a pretty short song, I do feel like that was a full song.
Yeah.
And I think maybe one of the reasons for it is because it was intense when it started and it was intense the whole time. You know? And when you have a song that's intense, you really can't have a song that's long and intense. That's why so many punk and metal songs are shorter. Although not necessarily as short as this song, but that's why. Yeah, actually, that doesn't even make sense at all because I have so much metal music. There's like 5+ minute long songs that are way faster than this. But
Sure.
but you can have a metal song that's fast, that's not necessarily intense though. And this was like an assault to the ears, like the moment it started, you know. And so you really couldn't have a song that's much longer than that, or it'd start to get annoying. I feel, but I liked that.
Yeah, I liked it too.
I liked it. And the reason I was looking on my phone while that was playing was because there was a lot of what we were hearing there that reminded me a lot of one of my other favorite bands that I called The Heavy, that I associate a lot with the Black Keys because I feel like they have the same sort of sound.
Yeah.
But they have really disappointed me as well. They're the only album I've ever listened to that disappointed me more high frequency wise than the last Black Keys album is their last The Heavy album, which I couldn't even make it through the whole album because it was so atrociously bad. I mean, it's unlistenable garbage, but which is really disappointing. It's really disappointing because the songs are good. But
never know. I'm never going to be able to guess whether you're going to like a song or an album or not.
I know that's what a lot of people have told me before, but honestly, like I have like more set parameters than most people.
I know, yeah, we
you know,
should be able to
I'm not
exactly
just
what you're
I'm not
doing.
like ambiguous, like, oh, I like a little bit of everything. Like I can tell you why I like and dislike things with specific subjective
you are nothing
opinions.
if not consistent.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, they remind me, there's not a lot of bands that remind me of the Black Keys in terms of the way the music sounds and the way it's produced, but The Heavy is one of those bands. And the reason I was looking up something on my phone while we were listening to that song was I was looking to see if the same guy that produced this or mixed it, that guy, Mark Spike Stent, if he mixed any of the Heavy albums, and I only looked at one of their albums that I thought sounded very similar to that last song, and it wasn't. They produced that whole album themselves, which is really great. But that was why I was looking up on my phone, just to let you know. Yeah, that was really interesting because we haven't heard very many tom drums on this album at all the whole time. And because Pat does not play the tom drums very much, certainly not like a featured part of any of the drum parts. But on that song, the tom drums were like the featured drum that you were hearing. And so that was really different. And like you said at the beginning, Cody, it sounded like everything was distorting. I would like to listen to that again. We're not going to, but when I listen to that again, I'm curious if it was the guitar distorting the whole time, or if maybe when it started, the tom drums were distorted, and then they slowly took the distortion out of them and added distortion to the guitar. That would be a really cool thing. Yeah. I'm guessing what we were hearing though was just the guitar playing at the same time as the drums.
Yeah. It started as a extremely in-your-face distorted. It's
Yes.
all I could take in.
Yeah, for sure. Did you like that one, Audrey?
I did. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. And
Okay.
well, like I said during the song, that every line of that sounds like it was ripped from like a '60s pop rock love ballad hit,
Yep.
like a Beatles or a Rolling Stones, or it was just interesting lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, very simple, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, starting with their album Let's Rock and then continuing in Dropout Boogie, like I really feel like a lot of the times what they're going for is something that's sort of like intentionally throwback sounding, or I feel like whether they're doing it on purpose or not, and I think that they're good enough that they're doing it on purpose and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that some of their music is specifically supposed to evoke specific things. And so, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Cool. All right, moving on to You'll Pay, which is really interesting. Do they mean you'll pay because you did something wrong and they're out for revenge, or literally you have to pay the bill?
Yeah, you owe me.
I would assume that this being the Black Keys, that the song is literally about having to pay money to someone. I'm guessing. All right. All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Very retro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Dan singing it with this falsetto voice here, exclusively. Oh, I love this. This is really the first guitar solo we've gotten, really. Oh, well, and it was only like two measures. I loved it, though. I like the saxophones in this. This is, to me, when saxophone is doing something cool. Like, I like Stax sort of saxophone-y sounds. They're like baritone saxophone. Interesting. There was one really cool. So, go ahead.
I would have loved to hear like Diana Ross and the Supremes sing that.
Yeah.
Like that's what you could have envisioned that,
Sure,
I think,
yeah.
fairly easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There was a part in there where someone, I think, on a piano just did some sort of like a little thing, and it only happened it happened like 4 times, and I loved it every time it happened. I noticed it every time. I was like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I realized on that last song I didn't mention who did what, and that's totally fine. But I do want to mention that on the Please Me Till I'm Satisfied song, there was a person named Greg Cartwright that was listed as a co-writer who did not perform on the song at all. So that was the only, and I also wanted to mention, and I forgot to mention while we were listening, that that's the only song on the album where Dan Auerbach is listed as doing lead vocals.
Okay.
Lead vocals. Every other song he's just listed as doing vocals. So You'll Pay is written by Dan Auerbach and Pat Carney, also Leon Michaels and Noel Gallagher. So Dan Auerbach, vocals, guitar, bass. Pat Carney, drums, 808, claps, guitar, moog, synth, tambourine, cowbell, shaker. Noel Gallagher, background vocals. Leon Michaels, tenor saxophone, baritone saxophone, marimba, guitar, Hammond organ, piano. So he was very prominently featured. And the saxophones were very prominently featured on the verses of this song a lot.
Yeah.
And I really liked what they were doing. Tom Berkovac, guitar, Mike Rojas, piano, vibraphone, Wurlitzer, and Sam Bacco, tambourine, shaker, bongos. So I really enjoyed that one. it was obviously too short, really. They only did the chorus twice. But they did repeat it twice at the end, I think, so they did it like a double length one. You know,
Yeah, the guitar solo in there.
Yeah, for a second in between the chorus and the verse.
If that would have just been extended out and made this a 3.5 minute song, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Or if they did a little part at the beginning of, because they did it between the first chorus and the second verse. If they would have just done it again after the second chorus and then gone into the chorus again, you know, because they did the chorus two times, I think, in a row at the end there.
Yeah,
I think, but regardless, there's another section they could have put in there where they did that again. They wouldn't have, I mean, it would have been nice if it was double the length of that, but even if not, to just have it in there another time. But I really liked the way that lead guitar sounded in there for a little bit. That sounded very Dwayne Eddy sort of sounding. You know, I'm liking the way that this all sounds a lot, but it also does sound a little bit different from Black Keys because there's so many more elements happening. And I think that that's just because we have all these other people playing on the songs, you know? A lot of the times Black Keys do not use auxiliary percussion. Like, so they don't have a ton of tambourine and shaker and bongos and congos and all these other things. They don't really have that a lot because it's just Pat on the drums, you know? And, you know, some of their songs do feature shakers and things, but, and tambourine every now and then maybe, but like, all of these songs have featured all these extra things, and I love that about it. I've always said that I think that the most underappreciated elements in all of music are background vocals, and the second most underappreciated element of all music is auxiliary percussion. So all those percussion things you're hearing that aren't the drum kit, everything else is what you just referred to as auxiliary percussion, and it's all those things that can take a song from boring and make it something that's intriguing to listen to, and it adds that layer of sprinkles that I'm always talking about and make it a little bit more interesting. So literally the only thing I can complain about with any of this at all is that it's too short.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that is just the way that music is moving to. So like part of me can't even begrudge them that, you know, because they want all their songs to fit in a Twitter video.
Yeah.
And you can only upload a video of a max of up to 3 minutes, I think, right?
It's X now. It's
yeah.
no longer
okay, well, then
Twitter.
X.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah, I don't know how much is like trying to make it work for TikTok and stuff. I don't know if that's affecting song structure and.
I'm very much.
I know
1,000% sure
is,
that it's all about TikTok. Yeah.
Anyway,
100%.
we got Juicy J next, so.
Ooh.
Yes, and also I've got a bug right here on this piece of paper.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and.
Ladybug.
Yeah, he really flew very far.
Whee!
I always assume all ladybugs are males because I love A Bug's Life.
Oh, yes.
When you see the ladybug for the first time and he's like, just because I'm a ladybug, you think I'm a girl bug? Like, I love it. I love that movie.
I'm a beautiful butterfly. What does he say? I'm a beautiful butterfly.
I haven't seen that since
I don't
it came
remember
out.
a lot of quotes from that movie, but man, I remember playing that game on PlayStation 1 and having it be
impossible.
It's difficult. The most difficult thing ever.
Dude, I played
But
that
like-
on N64. It was terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you had to watch clips from the movie every time you restarted or died.
Oh, so you
I
didn't
know
get
some
that.
of those scenes. I know some of those scenes by heart. When he's like one ant and he throws the like acorn at the guy and he's like, "Did that hurt?" And he's like, "No." And then he's like, "What about you?" "No." And then he opens the thing and just crushes him and kills him. And he's like, "If you let one ant stand up to all of us, all the ants will stand up to us." You know, it's like,
Oh, is this a
it's-
fascism?
Yeah,
allegory?
no kidding.
That's literally what the movie is about. Yes,
That's
that
what-
and also
so-
circus performers.
N64 can't have full motion video, so
Oh no! Well then,
Sorry.
What a win for PlayStation. We got like literal scenes from the movies that I had to watch like thousands of times because I died thousands of
sounds
times. What a day! Yes, PlayStation forever. All right, so Paper Crown featuring Beck and Juicy J. So I'm guessing we're going to get a rap verse here. I hope we're going to get another rap verse here. So we'll see what happens. This is 4:17. This is the longest song on the album. So let's go. And also, I think we're going to get Beck with lead vocals on this song as well.
Sweet.
So we've got 3 lead vocalists here. So, and also, I am just going to apologize to everybody now. I can hear myself bleeding into their tracks from their headphones.
They won't notice.
So they will definitely, because there's no way I'm going to be able to line this up so that it doesn't, but it's going to be very annoying while I'm editing, but it is what it is, and we're already too far into this to change anything. So I just apologize to everybody for what I've had to do to the thing to get it to
Complicated
sound
setup here today.
Yeah, it is. But although really it isn't. But, it's the same
You
thing
should
we
see the
usually
software
do.
I had to run to get this to work.
Oh, well, then in that case, I very much appreciate it, because we talked about having Audrey on in videos before, but this is like
Yeah.
the first thing she was really like, let's go, because
Yep.
she likes the Black Keys so much. All right, Paper Crown. You guys ready?
Yes.
In 3, 2, 1. I expect a fat beat here. Fat with a PH. Yes. Oh my God. Who is doing scratching?
Action.
I'm going to look. I'm going to cheat and look.
Oh, this is great. I love it.
Yeah. No one is listed as scratching. Starting out with
That's
Beck.
Beck. Yeah.
Is this going to be Song of the Year? It could be. Have you guys heard this yet?
No.
Dan with his falsetto. Ooh, that's so low. Ooh. I wonder if Juicy J is just doing the background like thing, and that's his whole vocal part, the whole song. I haven't heard any of Beck's albums for the last few that he's released. I should go back and listen to those.
Yeah, Beck's pretty amazing.
I haven't listened to his music since like the mid 2005 album or so that he released. I love this. Oh
What's gonna
no.
happen here? Juicy J.
Froze both on, might got frostbite, cause my neck feel numb. Corners round my neck, she say I got a lot of charm. Type of money, make a bougie broad, wanna film my porn. Big and it's warm, like grits in the morning. Got 2 things in common, that's my bitch.
God, please Black Keys make a rap album again. I love the GTA soundtrack thing in the background happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a 90s hip hop thing, but like, it made me think of GTA.
Let me see it, let me see it, let me see it, let me see it. Hey, yeah, you wanna see it, wanna see it. Hey, you wanna see it. Let me see
Back to the chorus.
Your mama should be proud how you entertain the crowd. But if you look at me too long, you might be with child. Hey, I might buy the brother if she work for
If you look at me too long, you might be with child.
Consent every time, Juicy J.
I love it.
Long paper cashes through that dash. Strong take
Uh-oh.
a gas, play miss up your blast.
What? Whoa.
She treat me like me, she bout to blow me fast. You wanna see it, wanna see
I don't know what I'm gonna have to edit out.
it. Let me see it, let me see it, let me see it. Hey, yeah.
I love this, though. It just makes me want them to make a whole album where this is like the focal point, you know?
Yeah, they should.
Because this is so cool sounding. And Beck makes stuff like this too. So like, wow, that was great.
That was awesome.
I think my favorite song.
Yeah, probably mine too.
On the album.
I
so
don't
far.
think it's my favorite, but that's one of the top 3 for sure.
Juicy J was laying it down there.
Yes, I really liked that. When the song started, it had all these different hip hop elements to it, and then those elements weren't in the song during the hip hop part.
Yeah.
The scratching at the beginning and that sort of like vocalizations in the back that like just have like a hype man would do or whatever. Like that stuff wasn't in there during his part of the song, so I thought that was a cool choice.
It was a better transition into the rap part. It fit with the song better than that other song.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the fact that Dan sang a little bit more after the rap part started too, and they kept the paper crown part in there and everything. So like, yeah. And it had that sort of feeling that a lot of hip hop has where it's just like the person singing is like singing about how they're like the best. You know what I mean? Like it's just the like
a lot of bravado.
Yes, that's a great way to say it. And the whole song had that, which was really nice. And having Beck do the verses was cool. So essentially all Dan did on that song was the chorus vocals, and he only used his falsetto voice the whole song. So, which he's done now in several songs. So this song was written by Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, Beck Hansen, and Jordan Houston. So I'm guessing Jordan Houston is the real name of Juicy J.
Oh yeah, probably.
Dan Auerbach, vocals, guitar, bass, Hammond organ, Moog synth, vocoder, 808s, and claps. Pat Carney, drums, 808, claps, Moog synth. So Dan Auerbach had something to do with the hip-hop drums and stuff. Beck Hansen, feature vocal, guitar, and an acetone organ. Juicy J, feature vocal. Andy Gabbard, backing vocals. Sam Bacco, tambourine, shaker, cowbell, conga, skull. Which skull could literally be hitting a skull. That would be pretty badass.
Hitting his own skull.
Thud, 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 thud. And then we have Lisa Hans, Ashley Wilcoxon, and Aaron Frazier all doing background vocals. So, loved that one.
Yeah.
I hope that song gets played on the radio eventually. Although I don't know what words they'll have to edit out.
Yeah, they'll have to censor something. Not on
Definitely
XM,
a few things. No, not on XM. Nope, that's true. It really does bum me that you cannot purchase edited versions of albums anymore. Like it's a huge bummer for me. There's very few albums that you can go to like Walmart, which used to be the only place you could go to buy edited versions of stuff.
And that's the only version they would have there, right? Like that
correct. They would only sell right, which nowadays you can go there and buy albums with parental advisory stickers right on them. So they do not have that that.
But until recently,
rule
anymore. That was a rule, I think.
Yes, the Walmart would only sell clean versions. And that's why a lot of bands were forced to make clean versions. But it's crazy now to think that you could go to Walmart and buy like Power Man 5000, Cold Chamber, Slipknot CDs there. That's where I bought all of those CDs that I have that are edited. Methods of Mayhem, including like rap, all sorts of rap albums. Cypress Hill, which Cypress Hill is great because all their edited albums, they put sound effects in where the swear words go. So they have like chickens and explosions and glass breaking and stuff where the swear words go, which makes their songs just infinitely
I like when they just re-record it with completely different words.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes,
a lot of the
which
rap ones are just
very few artists ever did that.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on Live Till I Die.
Okay.
2 minutes and 23 seconds, very short.
Very short.
Yep. In 3, 2, 1. Love that. Oh. Here's a rock song for us. You knew they had to have one on here.
rain. Hell on wheels with the heavens rise. Let the daylight fade in my eyes. Gonna sleep on the sun. Gonna walk on the sky. Gonna live till I die. Gonna sleep on the sun. Gonna walk on the sky. Gonna live till I die. Live till I die.
The shortest song on the album.
And they did the chorus 3 times, which shocked me. I think that was maybe my least favorite song on the album.
Yeah,
I didn't
wasn't
care
really
for his.
feeling it.
Yeah, I didn't care for his falsetto vocals there. That was a good example of him doing his regular register vocals during the verse, and then the chorus vocals were totally the higher register falsetto vocals. That song to me sounded like a B-side song that could have been on Let's Rock. It had Let's Rock vibes on it. And it reminded me actually of one of the songs on that album. I can't remember which one it was, which song it was though, but I think it was from Let's Rock. But I don't know. I wasn't feeling that song as much. When it started, I was excited and I was like, this is a rock song, because there was a lot more like distorted guitar, like doing distorted guitar stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting that there was like in the middle, which is where a lot of the focal points of the songs have been, and then there's been a lot of percussion and like organs and things on the outsides of the sides of the stereo mix. And this, they did kind of the opposite of what a lot of bands would do, where they would have the like lead guitar in the middle, and then there'd be like crunchy guitars on the outside, like rhythm guitars. Here at the beginning of the song, they had rhythm guitars in the middle of the song, and then they had lead guitars on the outside, which is just Dan doing some like higher notes and stuff. And then after that beginning intro of the song, those crunchy guitars in the middle never came back. You know, they never came back to that degree, at least doing that same part. So that was kind of a little surprising to me, unless I missed it and I guess I wasn't paying attention, but it was a pretty short song. I don't think that they did it, but the fact that they did have a little bit of a guitar part in there for the bridge and then went back to the chorus and did the whole thing again was nice. I appreciate that they did that, but you know, so I don't feel like that song was too short, but I wasn't vibing with it as much, like you said, Cody. Did you like that one, Audrey?
It was okay. I'll ruin it further for you, Cody. It seemed like a U2 song.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
a little
really
bit.
doesn't like U2. It just had
They-
that kind of, you know, they wanted to make it a little bit more pop, even though it was a rock song.
Yeah, it was the chorus felt very drawn out to me, which is what I think of when I think of U2, just like, so maybe that's what you're getting to, just like very drawn out lyrics that don't necessarily need to be. That's how I feel about Muse a lot of the time as well. So yeah, I don't know. That was a little disappointing to me, but you know, still, I enjoyed what I was hearing. I loved the way everything sounded, just maybe not necessarily how the sounds were put together to make a song. All right, now we're on to Read 'em and Weep, which could be a real banger based on the title of the song. So I'm excited for that. Let's just get into it and see. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, Old West?
It's a Patrick song.
Yeah.
It 100% is. Thank you for saying that. Yes. And it's a longer one. Let's hope that it doesn't fade out and that they do the chorus a third time, and I'll be like, they did it for me.
Is that a harmonica?
There is a harmonica in there, I think, but there's also a saxophone on the left side.
Yeah.
That's a long instrumental for a 3.5 minute song. You know, vocals didn't come until 50 seconds. I don't think we're gonna get a third chorus. Oh, I love that vocal run. That was awesome. His vocals are very distorted. Yes! Yes! Dan Auerbach is a big fan of and friends with Dwayne Eddy. So, woo!
I was getting more Dick Dale there.
Yeah, but basically the same thing. Same thing. Except Dwayne Eddy came first. So he's obviously better.
Sure.
I hate that argument. I hate it. I love this. This is like a horror novel type thing, right? Because he's saying "Read 'em and weep, revenge is sweet." I think. I mean, that's like straight up the Munsters, you know?
Yeah.
Surf rock. I loved that.
Yeah, that was
fun.
That was a fun song.
It was a completely different approach to making a song than anything we've heard so far.
Yeah.
That song was not drum heavy. The drums were not these like crazy giant things. Everything was subdued. There was a lot of reverb. It was very ghosty sounding. He was using his falsetto, but not constantly. He was doing his own background vocals. The guitar was amazing both times when it came in with that higher part during the surf rock guitar part. That was great. I love that. Let's look who was on that. So that was written by Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, and Greg Cartwright, who earlier we had on Please Me Till I'm Satisfied. So that's the last song that Greg Cartwright co-produced, I believe, or co-wrote. So then we have Dan Auerbach, vocals, guitar, bass, Pat Carney, drums, 808, claps, synth, shaker, tambourine, Beck Hansen, synth, organ, no background vocals, Leon Michaels, baritone saxophone, tenor saxophone, acetone organ, and then we have Andy Gabbard, Zach Gabbard, and Chris St. Hilaire, all backing vocals. So, really like that one a lot. I'm very glad that song is on this album. Now, I want to point out that was track 12, which most Black Keys albums end at either 10, 11, or 12 songs. Brothers is a special case where they had 14 or 15 songs, I think, on it, and now the deluxe edition has like 17 or 18. I forget exactly. I'm not going to look. But that album was particularly long, and that's one of the reasons I like that album a lot, because there's a lot of songs on there, and I think the second half of that album is actually even better than the first half, and I really like that when that's the case, because it's pretty rare. Like, a lot of bands will kind of front load the album. Black Keys did that on their 2 albums after that. They put their singles all at the front of the album, whereas they did not necessarily do that with Brothers. But they didn't know Brothers was going to be so huge and have all those singles off of it. But the fact that we have a cool song like this towards the end of the album, like even though we've had short songs, I'm so happy we have 2 more songs to listen to, but I still feel like if the album was over at this point, I would be happy with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm really disappointed with the length of a Black Keys album, and like I feel with Let's Rock, it could have been a little bit longer, but they end that album so strong with Fire Walk With Me, which is I think one of their best songs ever. But I still think that album could have had one or two more songs. Dropout Boogie, I've only listened to it twice, but I do feel like that album ends a little fast and needs a little bit more. I definitely think that El Camino ends too fast, and Turn Blue, the songs were stretched out really long, so that album is quite a bit longer, but still, I feel like a little bit short track length. So to get 14 songs on here, I'm very happy about. So,
Well, I hope they're good.
yeah, I hope these last two are good. And they're both around the same length, so we'll see. Now, this next song is called Fever Tree, which is interesting because one of their biggest songs they've ever had is already called Fever. So the fact that this is called Fever Tree is really interesting, and I have no clue what the song could be about, but we'll see. Maybe we'll... Oh, and I guess I should just point out, too, like, for whatever reason with that last song, I was more compelled to listen to the lyrics in that one. And I don't know if it's just because something about the song made me want to listen to the lyrics more. And so, like I even pointed out, I think he was saying, read 'em and weep, revenge is sweet. Like, that's a cool line. So, yeah. All right, Fever Tree in 3, 2, 1. All right. I was hoping we were going to get sort of like a slower ballady song, which I assume is what this one's going to be.
So all alone, I offer shelter, safe from the night. She says nothing, just turns out the light. She said, all I want from you
Oh,
is everything. Bury all my love beneath the fever tree. She said, all I want from you is everything. Bury all my love beneath the fever tree. Between the shadows
I love that. I love this.
and circumstance.
We haven't really had a song like this so far, where the chorus is so much bigger than the rest of the song.
Is gone tomorrow. No sun today. I swallow all of this and try to walk away. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Yeah, yeah. Na 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 na. Na na na.
Why are they saying na-na instead of doing the chorus again? That was dumb.
You got the hammer, you got the nails. I give you both my hands. Leave me
Love
locked
this.
in jail. I'm just a prisoner. You say that I am free. Spend the rest of my days beneath the fever tree. Sing for sorrow, sing for me. Lay my heart up on the fever tree. Sing for sorrow, sing for free. Lay my heart up on the fever tree. Na 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 na.
Please don't fade out. Anytime there's na-nas in a song, you have like a 30% chance more that there's going to be a fade out. Yes, and it's ending the way it started, so we have a full circle moment there.
Getting a little Chili Peppers vibes. Is it just
With
me?
the guitar,
Yeah.
for sure, on the left side, 100%.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
might be my favorite song on the album.
That was fun.
I really liked that a lot. And the fact that they did those dumb na-na-na-nas in the second chorus, but then they did the first chorus again, the third chorus, and then repeated the na-nas after that. I'm like, okay, they brought it back. They made it all work. I still don't understand why they didn't do the second chorus again, but I loved that. We haven't gotten a song like that really, where the chorus is so much bigger than the verse, you know? That felt like a stadium rock song, you know?
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved that. And I liked the words. I can't remember what they were, but I really liked what they were singing. You know, it was like intriguing. It's like, oh, what does he mean by the fever tree, you know? It was like hang my heart on the fever tree or something. Say something, sing for me or save something. I don't know. I don't remember what the words are. And the words are not listed in the booklet at all, by the way. Which
They
is,
didn't have
I'm
any
a little
room after printing who was on each track.
because every song features 12 people, yeah. Which this one was a little bit more simple. Just Dan on vocals, guitar, bass, Pat, drums, 808s, claps, Moog synth, Beck Hansen, backing vocals, acoustic guitar, Andy Gabbard, backing vocals, guitar, Sam Bacco, tambourine shaker, cowbell, wind chimes, wind gong, and then Lisa Hansen and Ashley Wilcoxon, background vocals.
Wind gong.
Wind gong. So
Your
I love that,
wind
though.
gone.
did you like that one, Audrey?
I did. I thought it was a little unusual. The lyrics were good. Yeah, it was a good song.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's listen to the last one, and then we can talk about the album overall.
Okay.
And Audrey, I want to get your opinion then of listening to an album with this format. Okay, listening to a song, hyper focusing on what it sounds like, what you're hearing, because most people don't ever do that. You know,
yeah.
and you might, but most people don't ever hyper focus on listening to a song, like with nothing else happening in their life other than listening to the song at that moment. And then also the idea of doing the reaction and listening to, and then talking about each song in between. So I'm just curious what your opinion is of that. So you can think about that while we're listening to this last one. All right, this is Every Time You Leave. I'm going to hope and assume that this is the ballad of the album. The like, okay, the album's done, slow song, we're going to play you out to a slow song. We'll see, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we haven't really had a song like that. I thought that was what the previous song was going to be, and then they did a cool rock thing in the chorus, which I really liked, so we'll see. All right, Every Time You Leave in 3, 2, 1. Nope.
Wait,
Oh, ours didn't play either.
Holy crap.
you give us a bum song. Hold on, we're not good.
Every time you walk away, I wonder if I'm going down the day. I'm in the ground with a hand to help.
This is awesome. This is like single material.
I don't have nothing left to say. Is it a sin to love a sinner? Who's gonna save me? Every time you leave, you know I'm gonna lose my way. You don't believe it. Look at how I'm living. I want to believe. A word of prayer ain't nothing to me. How can you say you wanted love, but then you fake it? It's only the devil in my mind, making me leave myself behind. I know I've been blind, but I see the light, and I'm strong and naked. Every time you leave, you know I'm gonna lose my way. If you don't believe it, look at how I'm living today. Every time you leave, everything I need. Try living without you, not thinking about you. Why wouldn't you want me to? One day I'll be crying, 2 days when I'm dying. Next day I'll be trying to look for you. Every time you leave, you know I'm gonna lose my way. If you don't believe it, look at how I'm living today.
I find it hard to understand the lyrics.
I don't care, it's awesome.
Every time you leave, everything I need.
that was, in my opinion, the most single song on this whole album.
I feel like that could have been the opening track to the album.
I would have liked it way better than that opening track, which was dumb and faded out and was the only song on the album that faded out. But I think that should have been in the first 3 songs on the album, yes.
Yeah.
The fact that it's the
Yeah.
last one, I'm always so
Weird.
curious why a band would hide a song like, because there's a couple albums I can think of off the top of my head where like the best song on the album, and I'm not saying that's the best song on the album, though it might be the best song on the album, but they make it the last track. That's really interesting. I do feel like track listing matters a lot less nowadays because people do just listen to singles or take a song and put it on their playlist or whatever. But to me, that was like the clear, like, this could be on the radio next to Katy Perry and whatever other crap is on the radio nowadays. Because there was enough in that song that wasn't Black Keys to make it sound like it could fit on the radio while still being a Black Keys song, if that makes sense. Like, especially they did it at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end, that part with the vocal part to lead into the that was very much an 80s thing originally, but now that is something you would hear in a modern pop song a lot. And that was really cool. And just the drums and the bass combo and what they were doing sounded like it didn't really necessarily even fit with what was happening on the rest of the album. It sounded a lot more manufactured and a lot more straightforward and less something Pat would really play. But that maybe that's why it's the sort of the last song on the album, because it does sound quite a bit different, I think, than a lot of what we've heard so far, or a lot of what we did hear. But I really liked it a lot. If there's anything on this album that I feel like could sit on the radio, top 40 radio, with the other stuff that's with the Maroon 5 song and whatever, like, it was that song.
Yeah, I agree.
So, which, I mean, sometimes one of the reasons the Black Keys songs make it a little bit bigger is because they are a little bit different than everything you're hearing. But sometimes it's hard to get a song that sounds so different from everything else that's on the radio. So the fact that one did, to me, sound a little bit more electronic sounding almost, like, I feel like it would fit a little bit better.
Sure.
Maybe it's too on the nose, but the lyric is every time you leave. So maybe it's a leaving
Like, that's
song.
why it's at the end.
Yeah, that's why it's at the
totally.
end. I don't know.
Totally could be. No, that's totally could be. The one thing I noticed about this when I was looking at the people who are listed, but it says written by Dan Auerbach, Pat Carney, Greg Kirsten, and Beck Hansen, and that's the first time I remember the name Greg Kirsten being mentioned.
Yeah,
I may be forgetting like 2 hours ago when we started listening to this and he was on there, but this song, it's Dan doing vocals and guitar, Pat doing drums, 808 claps and guitar, and then Greg Kirsten doing guitars, percussion, synthesizers, keyboards, and background vocals. So like clearly the lead writer of the song, I guess. And then Tom Berkovic doing guitar, and then Lisa Hanson and Ashley Wilcoxon doing background vocals. So a lot fewer people on this song. But one thing that I noticed, Cody, is that in the thank yous for the album, they basically thanking all the people who are on the album. Except one thing that I thought was odd was they thanked Alice Cooper as like one of the first people. Is Alice Cooper his actual name?
Yes. He performs solo as Alice Cooper, but then his band is also called Alice Cooper.
Okay.
I don't know what his legal name is, but
Stanley Fernie?
yeah, maybe. But he refers to himself as Alice Cooper. It's separate from his band. So
I'm really surprised because now that we've listened to the whole album, I was sure that one of the songs was going to feature Alice Cooper, and none of them did. None of them featured him in any capacity at all.
That's why he's in the special thanks and not.
I guess he's literally listed after it's Juicy J, Lil Noid, Alice Cooper, and then Tom Berkovac, and Tom Berkovac played guitar on like half the songs.
Vincent
so
Fernier, was that anywhere?
Vincent Fernier?
That's
Yeah.
That's Alice Cooper's legal name.
I don't remember that being in the
Stanley
credits.
Fernier.
I don't remember that being listed at all. Maybe he's an uncredited contributor, because sometimes people do that, but it's just a weird thing because like there's multiple paragraphs of people that they're thanking, and the first paragraph is like all the dudes that like did everything with them or the bigger names. So like normally we would never talk about the thank yous, but it just says the Black Keys would like to thank our families, friends, and the entire road crew. And that's the first line. And then it's Beck Hansen, Dan the Automator, Noel Gallagher, Leon Michaels, Greg Kirsten, Daniel Nakamura, Greg Cartwright, Angelo Petrogali, who is a name I don't remember, Derek Harris, William Bell, and Booker T. Jones. Then the next paragraph is Juicy J, Lil Noid, Alice Cooper, Tom Berkovac, Ray, the guy's name I can't pronounce, Chris.
Wait a second. So they recorded a song called "Stay in Your Grave" with Alice Cooper this year.
Oh,
Scroll
it's just
up.
not on the album.
Okay.
well, that's
yeah.
crap.
It didn't make the album.
15 of the songs that they did for the album didn't make it.
Oh yeah, it says they recorded 29 songs for the album.
Well, then we better get Ohio
So
Players
look
Part
for-
2 next year.
Or look for a deluxe edition or something.
Because honestly, like, it's funny you say that, because I was really, I made sure before I pre-ordered this from Amazon that there was no deluxe edition.
Yeah.
Like, I made sure that there was no deluxe edition.
As far as I can
There
tell
is
from
a
that
de-
article, it didn't sound like that song was released yet.
No, that's interesting.
It says
there
it's
is
a straight up
deluxe.
Halloween song.
Well, maybe they'll release it. Maybe they'll release a whole nother album later in the year.
Yeah. Huh.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I wish
more
they
of
would
this,
have
yeah.
released it. If they released a double album, that would have blown my socks off. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to continue living after that. It would have been so amazing. But I don't care. I'll pay them twice for 2 albums in a year. I don't give a crap about
Sure.
that. So, and the fact that they recorded this over a year and a half ago, you know, if they were working on it from January of 2022 through like June of 2023, that's a whole year and a half that they spent working on this. So, I guess it makes sense that they would have. But they clearly knew that this was one project, because they recorded all of Dropout Boogie like during and after that time. So
I mean, this article said that it recorded 29 songs specifically for this album. So,
interesting.
But they didn't call it part 1, so I don't know.
That's
I'm
very
sure
interesting.
we'll hear them sometime.
I'll bet they'll just release a whole nother album later.
Yeah, probably.
Because they have never released a bad song. I can't imagine that they would have gone to the trouble of writing songs with other artists and then just not release them.
But there's no way
I
a
can't imagine.
Halloween song with Black Keys and Alice Cooper, that can't be bad. That sounds awesome.
You're right. You're correct. There's no way that could be bad. I just now my hopes for them recording a whole album of rap songs while they were recording this are probably
maybe.
dashed, you know?
No, maybe
because they're
the
not
rest
going to
of them
have
are rap
one
songs.
song with they're not going to have one song with Alice Cooper and then the rest, unless that Alice Cooper song also features like Lil Nas X or something on it, you know? But who knows? I mean, but that's awesome. So that means we could get a whole nother album of this. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'll take those other 13 songs or other 15 songs any day. So,
That's
okay.
cool.
So overall thoughts, Audrey, I want you to talk for a little bit just about your feeling of the album, but also I'm curious how you felt about this whole process, because it is a different way to listen to music.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way to get all the Black Keys at once. Usually I'm kind of waiting for them to be on a playlist or show up with, if I listen to a bunch of other Black Keys songs. But so I think it was really interesting to sit and listen to one of their albums start to finish, which I don't think that I've ever done except for with El Camino, because I really love that album.
Because I was going to say, you guys do have a really nice setup in your basement where you can sit and listen to, like, I know, Cody, you have like a vinyl collection and you guys do listen to vinyl records and stuff a lot.
Yep.
And so the idea of listening to an album is not something that'd be crazy that you would never do.
No. We have
will
a
say-
setup upstairs too. Sometimes we'll
Right.
listen to a lot of vinyl up there, but I'll put on CDs in the basement sometimes.
Yeah, and the way you have it set up is really nice, that you can play, like, you can tell Google to play songs from Spotify just like, and plays throughout your whole house and stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, that's cool. I just wanted to point that out. But okay, continue with your thoughts.
Yeah, we're really music-driven couple. I think that's what initially drew us to each other. And
I think the most fun thing is, like, once we got engaged, the most fun thing we did was over the next year, we set up the playlist for the wedding.
The wedding.
Yes.
Yep.
So it was like every other day we were like adding a
Which
new
was
song to
awesome.
that.
And I would have definitely been able to enjoy it more had I not literally been dying at the time.
yes.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because
Yeah, that
now
was
we
rough.
know
You were
we know
literally
why
dying.
I was so sick. But
Yeah, I
I've
know.
literally never felt as bad as I did that day. And still am waiting for you guys to get all of your wedding photos, which I think you've got them all now. But I don't.
You're a real trooper.
There has to be a photo somewhere that she took of water literally falling off of my face, because I have never in my life sweated that much ever, and I can't believe I didn't pass out at any point. But I was so sick after that we had to stop and get a Gatorade, and I had to drink the whole thing before we could come into the reception. Oh my God. But hey, we know now that I probably had cancer at the time. So I
mean, that was like 1 month before.
I mean, I'm a hero for doing that. So
right. You really are.
You know, so, but yeah, like one of the reasons I bonded with Cody so much, especially in our adult lives, because, you know, we've known each other since we were little kids, but we really didn't become good friends, I would say, until we were much, much older. And one of the things that we really bonded over is music. And so it's been fun and our love of just buying crap at used secondhand stores. But like one of the fun things is discovering new music and sharing it with Cody, or him sharing stuff with me, specifically more older classic rock stuff that he thinks I would like. But I can pinpoint specific bands that I'm so excited to show you guys. And Audrey's like, oh yeah, I know that band. I'm like, how could you possibly know that band? This is some obscure band from something. And you're like, oh, they played it on the alt rock station.
Yeah. She knows like two songs from every band in the last 20 years.
Yeah. And I'm really, the wind falls out of my sails really quickly when I'm like, oh gosh, I better get to this, tell Cody about this before Audrey can get to him. But yeah, so that's really great. And you guys are very music centered. So that's really great. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite things to do when I come over there is to just sit and listen to music, which we haven't gotten to do very much, generally because we're out shopping and stuff. And when we get back to your house, we're like tired and we have to like go through the 50 vinyl we bought together, you know? But yeah, it's fun. So how did you enjoy the experience of listening to a song and then talking about it and then listening to a song? Because we are over 3 hours, which I did not want to do, but I talked for an hour beforehand. So really we're only at 2 hours and I just am an idiot like usual. I should record more videos, then I wouldn't want to talk as much. But like, I always feel like I get kind of fatigued by the end of a longer album like this. And I don't even know how long the album is total. I guess I can look at that.
It's like 45.
It's only 43 minutes. Yeah. So, but still the idea of, you know, listen to a song, talk for 5 minutes, listen to a song, talk for 5 minutes, and they have 14 songs, you know, with Metallica especially, we get so tired by the end of the video that we're like not thinking straight anymore. And usually we record 4-hour videos for that, but like we're doing the same thing we're doing here. So how did you feel doing that?
I think it was really interesting. There's very few times where I've, digested a full album like a book, almost like kind of, you know, reading through it, because I think album composition is really an art form, you know, and how they choose to lay the songs in with one another. It's something I've never done with other people before. So it's usually something that I'm doing in my head as I go through an album. So I think it's a very interesting experience. And would definitely repeat it with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time we'll start earlier in the day.
Well, next time I won't talk about the band for an hour beforehand. Sure. If I ended up cutting that part out and you guys are like, what are you talking about? You're only at 2 hours and 16 minutes. I talked for 56 minutes about the Black Keys at the beginning, going through their entire discography, which I said I was not going to do. And then I did it. And I've already done it in a video on my channel. So I'm just a big dumb.
You don't know who's going to be watching though. It could be someone that doesn't know the Black Keys at all.
Yeah. And maybe this video will get like hundreds of thousands of views. We'll be shocked, like I said, if more than 800 people watch it. But
people are like, where did the dogs go?
No, you're going to get the Lil Noid fans showing up.
Oh, true. Lil Noid and Juicy J fans, for sure. And then they'll be mad at me that I edited his verse.
I liked the Juicy J one.
Yeah, I thought that
I liked both of them. But the Juicy J one really stood out to me. If I had to tell you what my favorite songs are on this, it's hard for me to even remember the first half of the album at all, because it was 12 days ago that we listened to it. But the songs that stand out to me for sure are the last song, Every Time You Leave. That might be some recency bias, but honestly, I think it's one of the best songs on the album. Read 'Em and Weep, Paper Crown, Candy and Her Friends. I really do remember that one. The first half of it I really liked. On the Game, which is one that you guys didn't care for as much. The first two songs were pretty awesome, though I'm so disappointed that that first song faded out. It was the only song that made it on the fade out board.
That's pretty good.
It is good. That is not a failing grade. So Audrey, I always say that if we're going to give the album a grade, this would be a 14 out of 15 album, because one song failed.
That's the Patrick star rating system.
That's my star rating system. This album gets
Every album
14 out of 15.
Is out of a different amount.
However many tracks it is, and however many fade out, you subtract.
Yeah.
So, like for
so
example,
I think 13 out of 14 on this one.
Yeah.
but only one song faded out, right?
Yes.
Aren't there 14
Right.
songs?
There's 14 songs. What did we say?
Was I saying 14 out of 15? Then I'm a big dumb. I meant 13 out of 14. I'm an idiot. Okay, my joke didn't work.
You didn't stick the landing.
I really
No,
like
it didn't.
I like Please Me a lot. I like the lyrics in that. And then
Yes.
the Read 'em and Weep and Paper Crown. So I guess the second
Okay.
half of the album I like more.
Yeah.
But it started strong too. I like the first
And I really
second
feel
song.
like the Black Keys have several albums where their second half is like just as good, if not as good, as the first half.
Yeah.
So
I really
they-
enjoyed Don't Let Me Go. That was really good early
yes,
on.
I like that one as well. Yeah.
And then Please Me, and then You'll Pay, and the last one was really good as well.
Yeah, You'll Pay was good too. We just honestly, between the three of us, we just mentioned like every song.
Yeah, I guess that's
Which
a good
is
sign,
great.
right?
Yeah, we
And
each
so,
found
like,
something
yeah.
to love.
Yeah. Which
And you think it sounded way better than their last album, I assume?
oh yes, yes.
So good on them.
Yes.
And there's a lot you can.
They've redeemed themselves.
Yep.
Yes, I really feel like that you can. This album is so different because it really feels like a collaborative effort. Like on a lot of the previous Black Keys albums, they would not have had as many elements in every song as they did here. Maybe some of their singles, they've had like a few more things happening, but for the most part, it really isn't like that. I mean, if you go back and you think about all their previous singles, like Wild Child from the last album, which was much more of a rock song with distorted guitars spread to the right, and then like chorus vocals and Gold on the Ceiling, which had a really cool synth part, but it was literally just one synth part, you know? That da 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 da. That their three singles off of that album all were sort of had that vibe to them, and they all had like a little synthy part that was like sort of a lead part in the song. But other than that, it was pretty much their standard guitar, bass, drums, vocals. And the Brothers album is a little different because I feel like someone made a bet with Dan that they're like, I'll bet you can't use this dumb sounding guitar tone and make it into a song. And he was like, yes, I can. And that's how every song, because the guitars on that album sound like just terrible. Like no one would ever use a guitar that sounded that way. And that's literally the whole lead guitar on some of the songs.
Wow.
That Whistle song, that was their big song, that, right? Like their biggest song. How does that song go? Which one is that? I gotta look at the names of the songs.
Sounds like Rod Stewart.
Is that one Howlin' For You? Baby, I'm howling for you. But they also had Tighten Up, which is one of the songs. And my next girl will be nothing like my ex-girl. It was a painful dance, but now I got a second chance. But then that's also the only one. So, you're the only one. Da, 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 da. That's where his falsetto really took the place. And then 10 Cent
Nailed it.
Pistol. 10 Cent Pistol is probably my favorite song off of that one.
I guess I need to listen to this
with
album
a
because I
10-cent
don't recognize any of these.
And then Sinister Kid, who's 8 years old, gone to meet the maker. And then Go Getter is one of my other favorite ones. Too Afraid to Love You. My gears, they grind more each day, and I feel like they're gonna grind away. One of my favorite song lyrics of all time. Unknown Brother is so great. And then they also have on that album, Never Gonna Give You Up, which is great. Everlasting Light is on. I mean, come on. Every single song on that album is fantastic, and it's honestly some of the worst sounding guitars of all time. just absolutely terrible sounding guitars. Like I said, it's like someone made a bet with Dan that he wouldn't make a song with a guitar that sounded like that, or some dumb pedal. Like, I bet you wouldn't use that pedal on an album. He's like, yes, I can, and I'll make a song that makes millions of dollars for me.
Change
Sure,
the course of music history with it.
we'll put it in that Progressive ad, or some Ford car commercial or something, and it just make $1 billion with it. So, but this album it's exactly what I wanted it to be, honestly, because Dropout Boogie is such a fun sounding album, and Let's Rock is such a like throwback, clean sounding album, but still feeling fun. And I feel like they've gone as far as will ever go with the like, let's just have fun while we're recording with this, because of all the additions of all these extra people. Like I said, having shakers and tambourines and congas and bongos and cowbell and all this stuff in every song really adds this layers. And then having these extra guys just play rhythm guitars and stuff, and have everything be pan. Like half the songs had claps that were like these huge claps that were like way off to the side, which really helped make it feel like modern hip hop, because that's what all modern hip hop has, that. And also like made it feel like a bunch of people together in the studio clapping, which is a very like Americana folk thing to do. So like it's incorporating all of these throwback and modern elements together to just make these like fun songs that nobody else is making, you know? It kind of makes me, it reminds me of when Uptown Funk came out, right? Because it was so different from everything else on the radio. And now, what do you hear on the radio? You hear a bunch of songs that sound like Uptown Funk, because people were like, hold on a second, we can make like soulful sounding funk music now. We can do that again with like gang vocals and all this stuff. Yeah. And they're like, and that isn't even a Bruno Mars?
Bruno
That's not even a Bruno Mars song. That's like a different dude who just featured Bruno Mars on that song. But like that's like this. They're doing things that is not common in modern music, but they're making it feel like the Black Keys, and everybody knows that name. And so it's like okay to like it, even if you're someone who would normally be like, no, I don't want to listen to something that has these elements in it, which people, it would be stupid if anyone thought that, but people do. And so like that to me is what makes the Black Keys special, especially with their last 3 albums. It's very much a throwback, nostalgic feel to what you're listening to, but they're doing it in such a way, like I mentioned multiple times, like the drums just made me like explode with excitement, because they're so massive and they just sound like the Black Keys drums, but nobody else uses drums like that. But like I said, at the time, the time periods that they're evoking with their music would never have had drums be that prominently featured in a song. You would never even notice drums in most stuff from like the 75 and before. Because before disco started, no one cared about the drums in songs. The drums were like the thing you thought about as the absolute last thing, And so, with the exception of a couple things like blues music and stuff, where that's where all the samples for all the hip hop music from the 90s came from. But even that is like you have to try hard to find drum beats in songs, So like if you listen to the Beatles and you listen to Elvis and you listen to any of those massive artists from like the 50s and 60s, like the drums are not a featured instrument. It's just a thing that's like keeping the song going, But when you listen to something like this, and the kick and the snare are so massive sounding and just clearly such a feature part of the song, that's what makes me love it. That's like the first thing that gets me so excited about it. And they're doing that here like all over the place. And then you get to a song like Read 'Em and Weep that is not like that, and it makes that song stand out, but it still feels like the Black Keys. So,
is this your album of the year?
I think at this point,
it's too early to say.
No, I was going to say at this point, I think yes, because I've been thinking about that recently. The one of the first albums I heard this year was Emo Bulls, which is a German metal band that I like a lot, and they released what I think might be their best or second best album. that they've ever released, and that's been my number one so far. And I think that this is probably better. The only thing is, if I listen to this album in sequence without stopping, and every song I'm like, oh, why did it end so early?
Yeah.
Then I could see myself like being disappointed with it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the opposite will happen.
Yeah, I think the songs will
the more
roll
I listen
right
to
into
it,
the next one.
right? I think the more I listen to it, the more I'll be like, okay, that was enough of that.
Yeah.
And we move into the next thing, and I like that you mentioned the sequencing of it, Audrey, because you said most of the time, like, sequencing is such an important part. And by sequencing, I mean track to track, like which song comes after which track. There was a whole separate person listed in the credits of the album that was listed as just doing the sequencing. So, yeah, so someone who was working on the album with them, they were like, here, you do this part of it. So I'm guessing that person, between the mixing and the mastering, chose how to sequence the whole album out, and I think they did a great job of it. We mentioned several times, like, oh, it's cool that this song is coming directly out after the song we just heard because of this, this, and this, and it makes sense. So I'm really happy with the sequencing of it as well. But yes, I do think this is my number one album of the year, and like I said, it would be hard for the Black Keys to release an album that's done well, and it wouldn't be in my top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
The only album of theirs that I don't think was my number one for the year that it came out was Turn Blue. And then obviously Dropout Boogie. Dropout Boogie didn't even make my list.
Awesome.
All right. I think we can end the video there. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
No, you need to let me know when that Alice Cooper song comes out.
Yeah,
Just so
I
I
will.
can listen to it. Cause
You might
I
even
don't
find out
follow
about it
Black
before me.
Keys. Maybe if it's on the radio.
Yeah, I was going to say Audrey will probably hear it first out of any of us if they start playing it on the radio. But
And maybe they'll play it. Maybe they'll release it at Halloween.
maybe maybe all the other songs had like a spooky vibe to them.
Yeah, could be.
Although I can't imagine that Read 'Em and Weep wouldn't be on that if they were making like a spooky album.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't care if they release 2 separate albums in a year. I don't know what I'll do, because unless they release them in a package at some point and you can buy both of them together, and I can be like, okay, it's a double album. It would be hard for me to have a list with 2 Black Keys albums on it. In the past, I've just cheated and been like, I'm just gonna take both albums and make them one. But I don't know if I could do that now. My integrity with my list is much more important and higher since I have 4,000 subscribers on my channel. But twice in the past that's happened. Well, cancer will do that to people, you know. People automatically care about you more when they feel sorry for you.
I guess I better subscribe.
He might die.
I was going to say, I might pass away, so you never know. You got to subscribe as soon as possible.
That's right.
That's so funny. Let's not talk any longer now. Let's end the video. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Audrey, for being here for your first video. I look forward to doing more stuff in the future. It would be fun to do an album with you from a band you like literally know nothing about.
Yeah,
at all.
that would be great.
Or you could bring an album that we haven't heard.
Absolutely, 100%. I love it when we do that kind of thing, too. So you can think about that and see if there's something you think that Cody and I would like that we don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Perfect.
much,
Thanks for having us.
everybody, for watching, and we will see you next time.